Oh, it's another beautiful Monday morning, May 20th, 2019. Welcome to, of course, the Speed 51 Network, also on speed51.com and our Facebook coverage. Wesley Outland with you, joined alongside with Daryl Kinfield. And Daryl, man, how's it been going? And a fun time, because he's from New York, coming down here to the Carolinas, seeing some modifieds this weekend at Lakeview.
Yeah, it was great to just get in some racing. Up north, all we seem to do is either rain, snow, freeze out, whatever, but it was hot at Lakeview Motor Speedway. It was a lot of fun.
It was about close to summer-like temperatures at almost 90-plus degrees, but when it was said and done, what a great show it was. We'll talk about that and a whole bunch of other great racing that went on across the country. It is, of course, Speed 51 Network's official radio show, podcast, video program. Every Monday, we call it the Bullring. I'm Wesley Outland, again, filling in for Bob Dillner. I'm also joined by my producer / on-air personality, jack of all trades, and I got a new respect for this man right here, because I kind of got through in the ringer of learning how to do production and producing and setting up wires and equipment and everything else. Mark Keeler, how you doing this morning, buddy? Are you relaxed from a long weekend since Thursday in South Carolina?
Yeah, I actually got a little bit of sleep last night, so ready to do it all over again, and a busy week ahead of us. So,
and of course, you see the man to the behind, Mark, the video guru, my buddy, with my ENG, my top ENG that I love working with, the guy that I have the
worked
most
with two.
Yeah, but the only guy that I have the most chemistry with, as we say on my podcast, Tom Ryan, is in the house, and you don't see him on set, but he's to my right there, Mr. Zach Evans. He's working on getting stats, statistics, notes, and a whole bunch more for our morning Bullring. Of course, you can follow us again at speed51.com on Facebook, Speed 51 Network. And Mark, we had some great racing over the weekend. What do you think, bud?
Oh, yeah. First time down at Lakeview, and what a place. I can tell you, we work with a lot of tracks and a lot of staff and personnel throughout the years, and the people at Lakeview could not have been any better to us. They took such good care of us down there, all the way down to the barbecue. That barbecue food they got down there in the pits is excellent. So real good time down there.
I was a big fan of the barbecue pork chops, man.
I
lucked out on not getting no lunch with you and Bob on Thursday, and then I was kicking myself. Friday, I was like, man, before that green flag drops, I'm going to get me some lunch.
I got to try something I've never even heard of called chicken bog.
Yeah, chicken bog. Daryl, do you eat chicken bog in the South?
I've never heard of chicken bog. So.
I hadn't either.
Okay, so folks that might not know what chicken bog is basically, it's kind of a southern,
it's a
jambalaya type deal, except it's not from Louisiana, it's from the Carolinas. You take rice and carrots if you choose to, sausage, chicken, eggs. You can chop them up, some celery. You can add all those ingredients, and it is really, really delicious.
I just ate red clay. I was good with that.
We are going to go to the PFC Breaks No Compromises hotline throughout the morning, as we have got, in addition to Mark and Tom, Daryl, myself, Zach Evans. We have some awesome guests lined up to be on the program here for the May 20th edition of the Morning Bullring. Johnny Van Dorn will be coming up again. Also, we're going to have on Woody Pitcat, Chris Ferguson, Bob Dillner, Andy Jankowiak, Matt Shepard, and we're just going to rant and rave for the next 2.5 hours, Mark Keeler.
We're going to go to Brandon right now.
I was going to say that. We're actually going to go right now to the PFC Breaks hotline, and joining us on the program is somebody that I got to work with. I guess I could call him my second favorite ENG, because Mark says you've only worked with two. Brandon Paul, good morning. How you doing, my friend? Welcome to the Bullring.
I'm doing good, guys. Live from Myrtle Beach this morning. Made the quick trip from Lakeview Motor Speedway this past weekend. Open wheel madness. As you said, working with you, Wesley. Fun time there Friday night. Pounding out the videos on the speed51.com Twitter page. But a cool weekend working with Mark and Tom and everybody there. So now we're in Myrtle Beach, and then we're going to be heading to the Speed 51 Open on Tuesday at Millbridge Speedway.
Gotcha. Okay, and I also understand that we are going to have Carson Quapple joining us after we wrap things up here with Brandon Paul. Brandon, I first want to say, because you're a northern guy, how much fun did you have down here in South Carolina? And we're not even going to talk about your Boston Bruins beating up on my Carolina Hurricanes over the weekend.
No, it's hard to talk hockey with the temperature and whatnot down at Lakeview this weekend. my first experience at Lakeview was awesome. I put something up on my personal Facebook page Saturday morning. Of course, we had already been there Friday night, but basically, it's just this little dirt track in the middle of nowhere, South Carolina. But man, have they done some good stuff there at Lakeview Motor Speedway? Just a nice facility. The owners there have done a great job in bringing some life into that place. Even my girlfriend Christine was mentioning how nice the people are there, and how well they treat you, and how well they treated our full staff at Speed 51. And Friday night, the racing was very, very good. Justin Haley there and Andy Bone put on a heck of a battle for the lead. Saturday, you saw the leader kind of get out there and do his own thing for the most part of the race. But, there was some slicing and dicing all the way through the field with those dirt car UMP modifieds. So I loved it. A little bit too hot for this main boy with 92, 93 degrees. But other than that, it was an awesome time this weekend.
Again, joining us is Brandon Paul, the man that kind of helps keep everything going with editors and production, as long as Mark. There are so many people that keep all this stuff going here at Speed 51. Mark, I literally get a headache from seeing what I've seen in the last 5 months. You guys are like busy bees.
Oh, yeah. We try to stay busy as much as possible and cover as much racing as possible. Of course, sometimes we can't always be at every show, but we definitely try to be at a bunch of them. And, hey, Brandon, you don't even get to see a lot of dirt track racing up there in Maine or anywhere in New England for that matter. It's just not dirt track country. So what are your thoughts on that? Just getting to see those cars slung sideways, things like those mini late models they had there on Friday night. And just talk about that and getting to see that, because you don't get to see a ton of dirt racing where you're from.
We don't, no. Being from Maine, we have absolutely zero dirt tracks in Maine. There's one in New Hampshire, Legion Speedway. Well, actually now it's called Rumtown Speedway. And then honestly, the closest track to me is Bear Ridge Speedway in Bradford, Vermont, which I go there a couple times, or I usually try to go there once a year. They have the Sprint Cars of New England and some modified madness with sportsman modifieds, dirt car sportsman modifieds. But like you said, other than that, I don't get to see much dirt racing, and I'm a huge fan of dirt racing. Love dirt late models, the big block modifieds. Went to Super Dirt Week. I didn't go last year, but I've been a few times now. Super Dirt Week at Oswego. That's a great event. Eldora, went to Eldora, the dirt late model dream for the first time last year. But to be able to do that and see some dirt racing here on this trip to North Carolina. You mentioned Lakeview Motor Speedway, of course, this past weekend, and then we go to Millbridge Tuesday and Wednesday, Outlaw Karts for the Speed 51 Open, and then some dirt late models this weekend, a triple header for the Fast Track Racing Series. Really looking forward to that. I've never attended a Fast Track event in person, but I've watched a few now on the Speed 51 network, and I'm really looking forward to that because I really am a big fan of dirt late models. Love seeing those things just sliding sideways through the turns, through the corners. So looking forward to that.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to having you as well, being the voice of the Fast Track Racing Series. It's going to be a fun time. Brandon Paul, editor of Speed 51, thank you so much, buddy. We'll talk to you next Monday. We'll see you at the races this weekend.
Sounds good. We'll see you then, guys. All
right, that's Brandon Paul, editor for Speed51.com. We are going to quickly go to the phone lines just as fast as we rack things up with Mr. Brandon Paul. We're getting ready to talk with Carson Kvapil. We got a big show coming up that you're going to be able to watch on the Speed 51 network. That is, of course, the third annual 51 if you're a network subscriber. That's why you need to order Speed 51 network, whether you want to see pay-per-view races, whether you want to subscribe to the network. They have over 100 plus races this year. And some of these races are not just pay-per-view events. If you have an account, if you are a member with the Speed 51 network, then you are able to exclusively see these races, because some of these races are not pay-per-view optional. So that's why you need to get an account. That's why you need to get the Speed 51 network, 100% short track racing, just like Brandon said, Daryl. Everything from dirt late models, modifieds, asphalt, street stocks, you name it, and the mini outlaws on Wednesday night.
If you like racing, Speed 51 has got you covered. There is short track racing from all over America every week we have live races, we have highlights, we've got recaps and interviews and loaded with stories. Some of the stuff is pay-per-view, but we've got lots and lots that is included with just the monthly or yearly subscription. You can't beat it.
And am I right, Mark Keeler?
Absolutely. And you mentioned the monthly and yearly subscription, and to get the pay-per-views, you literally just have to have a free sign-up. And for people that sometimes they get confused on that, the deal is basically we need an account so we can give you those rights to the pay-per-view. That's
right.
all the free subscription is. It gives you an account, it gives you an email address, or it uses your email address, so we know who purchased the pay-per-view, and we can tell the system who to give it to. So this week, if you get the 2-day pay-per-view package, it's only $24.99. You'll get to watch Tuesday and Wednesday from Millbridge. That's the only way to see both days is the 2-day package, $24.99. If you just want to watch Wednesday is $19.99. And if you've never seen the Speed 51 Open, or if you've never seen the Outlaw Carts from Millbridge, it is worth the $20 to check it out on Wednesday night if you don't get both nights. And, somebody who has become a perennial favorite in the Open Outlaw division over the last couple of years, we've had other big names in there that you always look for, but regardless of who the ringers are, whether Kyle Larson comes down or Rico Abreu, Carson Quapple has pretty much been the man to beat in the Outlaws. And actually, Wesley, he's joining us now on the hotline.
That's right. We're going to go back to the PFC Performance Hotline, and joining us is one of the drivers ready to go, of course, Carson Quapple. Welcome to the Bullring. Good morning to you, buddy.
Good morning to you guys.
Well, are you ready for this Tuesday and Wednesday and that Speed 51 Open? It's always a big show.
Yeah, I think we're quite a bit ready. We just raced Mountain Creek yesterday, and we ended up winning that with a brand new car and engine that we finished the morning of. So I think we'll have a good car. I think we'll tune on it. We don't have the decals on the car right now, so we'll have to get some of those and get a different nose for it, hopefully, so it doesn't look mismatched.
And Daryl, to prepare for that event coming up this weekly racing here. I watched some of the race that he was talking about before I drifted off to sleep last night, and man, they're getting it. I mean, they look like sprint cars that are like really, really small, but they are really, really wild to watch.
Crazy fast. For the size that they are, and from what I hear, just the arm strength it takes to drive these things is incredible.
Definitely. Carson, let's talk a little bit about your racing resume, buddy, and why do you enjoy racing on a tight bull ring that Ashley and Jeremy Burnett have created that is the Millbridge Speedway?
I really don't know. I got started in it like 4 years ago in the smaller divisions, but I just worked my way up, and I really like it, the racing. It's really hard. You got to be quick. It's not slow and have this reaction time. You have none of that. So I just like it because how quick it is. But yeah.
Talk about how old are you? How old are you, buddy? You sound young.
Yeah, I turned 16 on the 22nd.
Wow.
So yeah.
If I could be 16 again, and I know what I know now, Daryl Canfield. Here's some of the action shots of what you're going to see on Speed 51 Network's coverage of the Speed 51 Open. Now, remember, there's going to be a coverage on Tuesday and Wednesday, but again, this is a racy little joint, Daryl Canfield.
Yeah, I can't wait to get there. I haven't been to Millbridge yet. I've watched it several times on the Speed 51 Network on Wednesday nights. This week you get Tuesday and Wednesday. It'll be great. It should be a whole lot of fun. I can't wait.
I know I'm hosting, but I'm about to break into announcer mode, Mark Keeler, because these are so exciting to watch. 3 and 4 wide coming off the corners.
So, Carson, obviously, in addition to the outlaw kart racing, you're also doing quite a bit of super late model racing. What's the big difference? I mean, I think the kart racing, you have to have such quick reaction times, but other than that, I mean, what's the big difference, and what's your takeaway when you have to go from a place like Millbridge up to the ARCA Midwest Tour?
Well, it's kind of hard to switch from outlaw kart to super late model, because the super late model, you got to lift and let the car do the work and not overdrive it. And the outlaw kart, if you don't drive it hard enough, you ain't gonna be nowhere near fast. So it's just hard trying to slow down. I'm not used to having to slow down to get in different cars.
Well, you can't sling them sideways and pull those slide jobs either, can you?
No, unfortunately, you can't.
Watching some of the action of what you will see on the Speed 51 Network, 100% short track racing at the Speed 51 Open. That is going to be Tuesday and Wednesday. Speed 51 Network at speed51.com to order the action of that event. Midwest Tour is going to be in a double header this weekend. Carson Quapple joins us again on the PFC Performance Hotline. Carson, are you going to be at Jefferson and Wisconsin International this weekend, Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah, I'm going to be at Jefferson Saturday and Kaukauna Monday, so that'll be fun.
Okay, so they have Kaukauna on Monday also, Mark.
Yes, sir.
How do you balance that schedule, Carson? I mean, it's one thing to be racing in the Midwest and then, having to do schoolwork and things like that. But now you're racing during the middle of the week a lot of times at Millbridge. How do you balance that schedule between traveling, racing, going to the shop, working on cars and all that? How tough is that for you at your age?
It's pretty tough on me because there's a lot of schoolwork that I have. I'm in 10th grade, so it's kind of tough. And then I got to work on the car all day once I get out of school, and then usually we're racing the weekend, so I don't really have time to do anything. Just sucks. Like this week, I think every day after school, I went up to work on the car till midnight, 1 a.m., and then wake up and do more work.
And I know you got to get ready to go to school like within the next 12 minutes, buddy. That school bell is about to ring, and you got to get ready to grab your book bag or the tablet or whatever they tell you to do your homework on in the school world today.
Well, we're looking at a picture here of you and your brother Caden actually passed out in the back of a vehicle. Is that
wow.
a common sight for you?
I don't sleep much in the truck. He always sleeps. I don't really know why he sleeps so much, but that must have been a rare occurrence because I don't sleep much in the truck.
Yeah, I think your dad's got it on his Twitter page there, so we just Tom Ryan just kind of pulled that up. So,
Carson, talk just a little bit about the difference in what driving lines you use with the late model to the Outlaw kart. Asphalt kind of I've raced a little bit of asphalt racing. It's so spot on. You got to hit your marks, and dirt racing just seems totally different where you could try different stuff every lap.
Yeah, the Super Late model, you got to be on your marks. You got to hit coin every single time to be fast. That is kind of hard coming from a dirt background where if you're not fast on the bottom line, you go to the wall and run. And you don't just stay committed to one line because you can switch it up. You can run the bottom, you can run the middle, or you can run on the fence. It's just you can do a lot of different things in dirt racing when you can't in asphalt.
Well, Carson, have fun, buddy, going to school, and we will see you Tuesday and Wednesday for the Speed 51 Open on the Speed 51 Network, my friend.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that's Carson Quapple, 16 years old. And he is getting ready to go to school, but of course he takes the time to join us here on the Morning Bullring. It is one of the special shows that we do here where we talk all about short track racing. Speed 51 Network is about 100% short track racing. And, he mentioned Kaukauna on Monday. So you have got, let me pull this up here again. You have got Jefferson Speedway on Saturday. You've got Wisconsin International on Sunday and Kaukauna on Monday. That is a triple header. Just like the Fast Track Triple Crown, our Memorial Day Classic, which, by the way, you'll be able to watch every race flag to flag on the Speed 51 Network. That is a triple header for the ARCA Midwest Tour.
Yeah, so you think about it for Carson, he's going to be racing Tuesday, Wednesday,
Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. You got to give these kids a ton of credit. Doing their schoolwork, working on race cars, getting to the racetracks. It's crazy.
And of course, we're a little bit rusty because we don't normally do this. But Daryl Canfield's in the house. Wesley Outland filling in for Bob Dillner. Bob Dillner is recovering from, of course, a successful / rain delayed Toledo ARCA event, of course, won by Venturini Motorsports driver of Chandler Smith, who was he was the driver of the year that was voted by a lot of people on a panel for Speed 51 a month ago, and it shows why he is truly the PFC Brakes Performance line. In just a moment, we're going to go back to the line and join Johnny Van Dorn, and but Mark, again, Chandler Smith with an awesome performance he put on at Toledo, Ohio in the ARCA race.
And Chandler's been doing that pretty much from the start of his ARCA career, almost, and it's so funny to see how far he's come because anybody that watched him in the old pro late models with the past series when he was just getting started in late models, and then to see where he's come since he got with Ricky Turner and worked through the super late model program, it's pretty incredible to see what he's done right basically off the trailer, if you will, once he got to ARCA. We do have a comment coming in online. Hard work will pay off for Carson. That's coming from John Monroe. So, and absolutely, and Carson's showing that. that. One thing, if you're at the track at Millbridge, and obviously, yes, we have the pay-per-view, but our first goal is for you to get there. If you're anywhere within 100 miles of Charlotte, you need to be at Millbridge
That's
Tuesday
right.
and Wednesday. And when you're there, you'll see Carson Quapple not only driving his kart, you'll see him working on other people's karts. He's out there looking at the track. One thing with Ashley and Jeremy Burnett, they definitely want the track to be the best as it can for the racers, so they talk to a lot of the racers, and Carson's one of those. So to say hard work will pay off, 100%. There's a lot of these kids that come up through racing that some of them have never even turned a wrench on a race car. So when you get somebody like Carson, and he's working on the karts, he's working on the cars, and he's able to do that, that's absolutely, I think, going to pay off for him. And Chandler Smith's another one of those guys. He doesn't just disappear into the holler every time he comes in from practice, gets out of the car, goes into the air conditioning. He's out there with his crew, looking at the car, looking it over, figuring out what they can do to make it better. And there are some kids out there like that, so I'm not pigeonholing all the kids in racing. I mean, Christian Eck is the same way. He's always at the shop down there at Venturini Motorsports. So I think that's a testament to the people that will make it far. Chase Elliott turned wrenches on his own late models. He wasn't one of those that just showed up and drive. My first experience with him at the racetrack, he was pulling the motor out of his super late model, right inside the fenders there with Ricky Turner. So I think the kids that work on the cars, the kids that really put in the work and put in the effort to learn the cars and know what's going on, it absolutely will pay off. And I think Carson Quapple's one of those.
And one of them up-and-coming drivers that you've got to keep an eye on, building their resume. Of course, like we saw Young Money win the NASCAR All-Star race. He pocketed $1 million at Charlotte on Saturday night. There's no mistake about it. He's been there several years before. Kyle Larson will probably be at the Speed 51 Open, as well as a whole bunch of other top stars. So you got to keep an eye on them. And the only way that you can check out this big event with the Mini Outlaws, and I got to give props to Ashley and Jeremy Burnett, because this is the first time, Tom Ryan, since 2007 that I've been able to go out to Millbridge Speedway, and they have done phenomenal work to that place. Wait for my buddy Tom Ryan here to join us here in a few minutes here. So, Tom, good morning.
Good morning. Kyle Larson will be there. He'll be there testing today. He'll be there qualifying on Tuesday, and he'll be racing on Wednesday. He's got a full docket this week. I believe he races all week, because Thursday he'll be at the big track. Friday he'll be at the dirt track, and Saturday at the dirt track and the big track, and then Sunday, of course.
And, of course, Thursday he's got to qualify for the Coca-Cola 600. So, yeah, he's going to be today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 600 miles. And remember, Speed 51 Network has got you covered for a lot of great races this weekend. Everything from the Fast Track Triple Crown. By the way, stay tuned to the Fast Track Racing Series and, of course, the Speed 51 Network, the official media network of Fast Track Companies International. We have got something brewing, something cooking that I think could possibly be something really big for this upcoming weekend's Fast Track Triple Crown. We're just still kind of finalizing the final kinks on that, Darrell Canfield, and you can see it on Speed 51 Network, the Speed 51 Open, ARCA Midwest Tour at Jefferson, Wisconsin, and probably Cookana. They didn't have that on my list here, but probably they're going to cover all of the ARCA Midwest events. So, yeah, a lot of great things happen on Speed 51 Network. And remember, you also need to like and share Speed 51 on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. We've got you covered.
Yeah, there's information all over the World Wide Web for speed51.com. You can follow us at the racetrack, at home, at work. Hopefully everybody's at work listening to our show today.
And Tom, what'd you say, buddy?
Connor Sullivan has come in with more information for us. It's pronounced Cookana. Can you say that, Kate?
Cookana,
okay.
Wisconsin. Yes.
They are Saturday, and I believe Jefferson's Monday. It's not a triple header. It's
okay.
Opposite. Jefferson is Saturday. Cookana is Monday.
Okay, my apologies. Okay, I was seeing Jefferson in Wisconsin Saturday and Sunday, but that's cool then. So we've got that's why we got people behind the scenes helping us. We got a guy here to the right of me, Zach Evans, who scares me on 2-lane roads in the mountains because he loves to become like an off-road driver. He's like driving Miss Daisy on the interstate. But whenever he gets going down in these mountain curves, he has like a smile on his face. And he's like, yeah, man, I love this. Let's just do it. And I just cringe and I make that seatbelt get tighter. So he's getting stats and notes and information and news and giggling at me and giving me other things on the side as well. But Darrell, man, talk about, from being a man from up in New York, coming down to the South, obviously nicer weather. And the racing's got to be different than New York racing, correct?
It is a little bit different than New York racing. I think the guys in the South race more like they have more money, to be honest with you. It seems like if they wreck, they don't care. They get out and they laugh and they're good with it. They just love racing. Even the crowds are different. It's a whole different atmosphere with short track racing in the South. Zach Evans and I got to go down to some ultimate late model racing earlier on this year, a couple months ago, and I was just amazed at how crazy the amount of people, the tailgating. It's just wild down here. I love coming down here.
They love their boiled peanuts and beer. That's a Southern thing if I ever saw it, boiled peanuts and beer. But, Daryl, I know you're a big fan of, like, tour-type modified racing and, the Northern Tour with the wide tires and all that. And, Wesley, I'm going to throw you a bit of a curveball because we couldn't get Johnny Van Doren just yet. He's not answering the phone, so hopefully we'll try him again. But right now we got a first-time caller here. I'm going to try getting the music up for first-time caller if I can do two things at once. There we go. There's the bell. First-time caller, Woody Pitcat, joining us on the line right now on the PFC Performance Hotline.
Woody, good morning. Welcome to the Bullring. How you doing, my friend?
Thanks, guys. How are you?
Got a big win at Wall Stadium, and I think that doing some stats myself, preparing for the Bullring, reading information, that was like the return of the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour at Wall Stadium. Talk about the atmosphere that was there on Saturday.
Yeah, they had beautiful weather, which we haven't had up north here. So it was good to see that. There was a big crowd like normal there. Obviously, we haven't been there. I want to say that modifieds have been there like 10 or 12 years, so or the tour, anyways. So there was a good crowd out here, and I don't know. We've been struggling. I've been struggling with the car that we've been running this year. I told those guys I was going to just kind of sit back and just see, how the cars fall and try to get to the brake and just, make some adjustments to make our car better at the brake. And, that's not a place that I'm really that familiar with. I've been there before a couple times. Actually, I got a kind of a funny story. I hit the opening to the pit gate there the first time I ever ran there, and Jimmy Blewett came rushing down there to make sure I was okay. And ever since then, when I see Joey Logano, he always calls me Woody Pickgate because I hit the fence instead of Pickett. So it was pretty cool to be able to go there, obviously, and win the race. But it was, just kind of a battle of survival. It was just trying to keep all four wheels on the thing straight. Obviously, modified with the wheels sticking out, it's a lot harder to do that. But I knew that if I could just keep all four wheels on it and keep it straight and get to the brake there at lap 100, that my crew and the guys would fix it up for me and give me the right adjustments for what I need to be there towards the end. So, I kind of hovered around 10th, 12th the whole race. And then, towards the end there, it was just, I don't know, they were out there, big carnage after carnage, just trying to dodge the wrecks. And, I was in a good position at the end of the race to capitalize, to come out there with a win. So it was just cool to finally, get another win. It's been a few years, tough years on the tour, ever since I haven't been in that 88 car that I had so much success with. So to be able to win for Danny Watt, and he's been around the modifieds for a long time, and the crew and everybody, it was just, obviously a big sign of relief, a big weight off my back, and hopefully we can ride, a little bit of this momentum for the rest of the year.
Woody, we got some people checking in online. John Monroe says Stafford Springs loves Woody, and also Douglas Ivy chiming in saying glad to see Woody back in victory lane. And a guy that's been racing as long as you have in a place like Wall Stadium and the amount of history it has there, how much does that mean, just a little bit more in the win that they finally go back there after 10, 12 years, whatever it was, and to get that win for Danny Watt and then to do it at a place like Wall Stadium? How much does that mean with the amount of history that place has?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see the people that come out of there, and the racing, the world with racing with like Ray Abraham and obviously the Truex family and everybody, and even the Blewetts. Like I have a really good relationship with Jimmy. I had a pretty good relationship with John in the past before his passing. So even Jimmy, he came over and was really you could kind of see it in his face that he's pretty emotional for me to win there. And that was, it felt really good too, because obviously that's a place where, those guys had a lot of success, and John always had a lot of success there. So, I think that if he was still here, he'd be pretty proud to see that I was able to come out of there with a W. So that meant a lot to me. And to win, for Ted, I mean, I don't know where I'd be right now, tour ride wise, if it wasn't for the passing of Teddy, because he was in the 82 car that I'm in now. And, that's not the way that I wanted to get a ride on the tour, or, get another ride on the tour. But, it was an opportunity that opened for me. And like I said, I can't thank Danny enough for, believing in me and giving me the opportunity when Ted passed. So that's another huge thing to do, because I had a really good relationship with Ted. I don't think a lot of people realized how close I was to him before I got into SK Modifieds and the Modified Tour. Back when I was running my late model, I was pretty close to him and going to different tracks with him and learning a lot from him. So it just, it's crazy how the racing world ends. You never know. You try to not burn any bridges or anything like that, because you never know how things are going to end up year after year. And like I said, it's really, a blessing to be able to go down there and to run. And, I thank my wife for staying at home and watching my 2-year-old son and my daughter. It's kind of hard to keep a 2-year-old and an 11-year-old, happy with doing the same thing that they want to do and entertain them. And I give her a lot of credit for doing that for me, so I could go down there and compete and win. So obviously I would have loved to have them there to see me win, and that would have been cool. But just to be able to do it, it's, like I said, it's really a blessing.
Woody, tell us a little bit about the front bumper at the end of that race.
It was actually used up more than I had thought. I got into somebody pretty good. I think it was Eric Goodale early in the race. I just tried to square it up. Everybody had checked up down in 1 and 2. That was probably about 30 laps of the race. I asked them, how's the bumper? Because I could see the tin was all knocked up. And they're like, oh, no, it's fine. I'm like, okay. So whenever I got out after the race, I was like, holy cow. Even like the right side Nerf bar, I had a couple people tell me, oh, you were smoking at.
Oh, I think we lost Woody Pitcat. But again, joining us again on the PFC Performance Line is the driver of Woody Pitcat. Almost a 12-year absence since the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. Went to Wall Stadium. What a show they put on. He came from the back of the pack, and that's one of the things I'm going to talk to him about when we get him back on the line here. Crushed the front bumper in the victory lane. We're going to talk about all these things here in just a few moments, as we will be back in just a moment with Woody Pitcat. Woody, you back with us, buddy? Did you pay your phone bill?
Yeah, I think I did. I don't know. My phone crashed like the carnage on Saturday night, I guess.
Let's talk about that. You had to come from the back to win the race. In addition to that, your rough and tumble race, and then you crashed the front bumper in victory lane. Talk about all these scenarios all at one time, and it's your second win on the tour with car owner Danny Watts as well.
Yeah, no, like I said, I was just I think I got into somebody earlier in the race there, and I asked them how the front bumper was, and they told me it was fine. So when I did get out in victory lane to look at it, I was kind of surprised. And I think one of the last wrecks there with 5 to go, somebody bounced off the side of the right side of the Nerf bar. So I told them to give that a good look, and they're like, oh, no, you're good. You're all set. So at the end of the race there, the thing was smoking real bad for the last 2 or 3 laps because the right side Nerf bar was hitting the right rear tire. I'm like, you guys never told me any of that. They're like, no, you're fine. Don't worry about it. So, like I said, it was just a matter of, trying to keep all 4 wheels on it, pointed in the right direction. Cause that's the biggest thing with those things, to have all 4 wheels on, especially on a short track, tight bullring like that at the end of the race when people are getting over aggressive and knocking all over the place. So,
social media,
it was just cool to win, obviously. A win helps.
Yeah, social media chiming in. John Mack saying it was mayhem at that track, which it sounds like it. And I've got one question for you, though. I know you've been known to celebrate after a win. I think there's a good story that goes around about a win at New Smyrna where you showed up at Denny's with the trophy. So what was the celebration like after?
It wasn't that it wasn't that exciting this year. Unfortunately, I had to race at Thompson Motor Speedway yesterday. So when I punched in, on my phone, on my Waze app, how long it was going to take to get home, it said my arrival was 4:11 a.m. I wasn't too happy. So I ran over to the Wawa down there, a mile down from the track, to get a little road soda on the ride home, and they didn't have any. So it was a bag of popcorn and a Coca-Cola and then I drove 4 hours, slept 3 hours, and went to Thompson. So unfortunately, it wasn't that exciting, but maybe I can, do something this week.
Well, we do have a serious question coming in on social media, and they're trying to find out, are you a Bruins fan or a Canes fan? Because they said it's hard to tell on social media.
Tell us you like the Jerks.
Absolutely, I like the Jerks.
Yes.
I was always a big-time Hartford Whalers fan. When they left, I rooted for Carolina for a few years, and I wasn't a big fan of, obviously, the owner at the time. But I love what they're doing right now. There's a new owner, that is passionate for hockey. And, I jumped on board again with Carolina. Like I said, I've always been a Whalers fan. There's still a couple people there. Not a lot, obviously, players or anything, but if you look behind the scenes, there's some people still there from Hartford. And I don't know, I never jumped on that Bruins side of it because of the fact that Hartford and Boston always had a big rivalry. When the Bruins make the playoffs, do I cheer for them? Yeah, I'll pull for a Boston team because I'm such a huge supporter of, the Red Sox, Celtics, and the Patriots. But when it comes down to the Jerks versus the Bears, the bad bear, I go for the Jerks.
I was just going to say that there's the only thing that I could say is a disappointment this year for the Carolina Hurricanes is they do not have the radio play-by-play voice of Chuck Caton, who used to be with the Hartford Whalers, who was the radio man for the Carolina Hurricanes since its inception from Greensboro to Raleigh. I used to love listening to him on the radio because, I live out in Clayton, just outside Raleigh, on the flagship station for the Hurricanes. And Chuck Caton just, to me, brought so much excitement. I like John Forsland. I love the TV guys calling the hockey games. But, Daryl, it's just so different having the TV call than that radio play-by-play style Chuck Caton did.
I'm really just worried about Woody Pitkat and winning another race.
Yeah, Daryl's not much of a hockey fan. We do have another question, though, coming in on social media. Jesse Bichelle wants to know, is Woody running the Islip 300 at Riverhead Raceway?
Unfortunately, no. I'll be at a big race that weekend up at Thompson, Connecticut. I think the K&N East division is at Thompson the same night as that Islip 300, and I'm going to be running an athlete model that night, as well as, I believe, my SK Modified if we get it back together. So I have a busy slate that weekend, and I probably should be at the Islip 300 to get a little bit more practice for Riverhead, but obviously you can see I didn't have much seat time here at Wall, and we were able to capitalize and come out with the win. So I've run good in the past at Riverhead, so I'm looking forward to go there, but I won't be able to be at the Islip 300.
Man, Woody, we just got a message from Connor Sullivan, and he's banging his head right now. He said, I don't think he likes that whole Canes thing.
The whole James,
the whole Hurricanes thing.
I think Brandon Paul got a hold of him is what happened. I think that's what happened,
Canes.
Mark
I thought you
Keeler.
said James, I'm sorry.
Well, the Canes owner may like hockey, but he's not much of a football fan, I don't think. But
well, he's seen my Hartford Whalers helmet, so he should know. He's been around a couple of races here the last few years. He should know who I'm cheering for.
Oh yeah, Connor is a Connecticut boy. That's for sure, through and through.
So we are talking to the driver of Woody Pitkat. He got the big win at Wall Stadium. Woody, I want to go back to talking about Saturday's race because I saw some tweets on Twitter and, of course, on Facebook and social media that the atmosphere at Wall Stadium was so electric at like 11 o'clock in the morning. The grandstands, Daryl Canfield, was almost 3/4 full for just practice and qualifying. You normally don't see that on a local grassroots program for late models or modifieds. I'm not saying they don't pack the house, but normally they don't come out that early in the morning. You could tell there's some diehard modified fans up in the Northeast. Talk about that, Woody, seeing that atmosphere for qualifying.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome, the supporting cast that we get. Even at the autograph sessions, race after race, you kind of see the same people, and you kind of grow a little bit of relationship because of the fact that you see them all the time, and like you said, it's crazy. I kind of feel bad because of the way that the race played out. I kind of feel like we all let the fans down because they come to see Green Flag Racing, and I mean, they want to see banging and bumping and moving people out of the way, but they don't want to see, wreck after wreck, caution after caution. So if anything, I feel bad for the fans because without the fans, we don't get to do what we love to do, every weekend. So we got to obviously try to keep them happy. And unfortunately, there's probably a lot of people that were more mad or frustrated at the end of the night than they were happy going home to talk about it. But at the end of the day, we love the fans, and we love to be able to go up there and sign autographs. And, I had a little kid walk through there, and he had I think his father had an old 88 Woody shirt on. And at the time I was like, oh man, he asked me to sign the shirt. I said, yeah, if you can get Buzz to bring that car back. I said, that's, kind of what I've been looking for is trying to get back to where I was when I had the success with them. So they showed the little kid. The little kid said, they asked him, do you know who that is? The kid was about 4 years old. They said, yeah. The kid said, yeah, it's Woody. So it made me chuckle just to see him say, yeah, it's Woody. And he had the old the Woody and Buzz shirt on. So, I gave him an autograph and he was going through, and I said, you know what, I'm going to sign the card that they give you. It's, the name card. And I signed the card and gave it to him. And, I just felt cool, felt good, knowing that I did something good. And just to see the smile on that kid's face walking through there, and then to be able to go out there and win that night, after doing that, it hit home and it felt good. And I saw a post, I think his mother put a post on there saying how pumped up he was that I did that. So, it just feels good. It's nice to be able to do stuff for the fans, and then to go out there and come out with a win is even more gratifying.
Speaking of kids, Woody, we get to see your son on social media every now and then. Is he going to be a racer?
I think we're in trouble with him. When you marry a racing family, you got a Santos and a Picat, two racing families together, and you make one. I think we're probably going to be in deep doo-doo here. He's got that little clean tire wheels car that I put a 12-volt battery in. The thing goes pretty good. He wanted no part of that thing last year. I guess I needed to realize, he's only a little over 1 year old. Now that he's 2 and he's in that thing, that's all he wants to do. I want to come home and ride McQueen. And we have a little cul-de-sac at the end. It's kind of almost like a little riverhead. You got no straightaways. It's just a big circle. And then there's, some wood pylon in the center. And I told him, you got to be careful. Don't hit that wood. And the first time out, he hit it. And he after that, he's been, paying more attention. But just the way that he drives that thing and the way he locks the brakes up and he's already counter steering and stuff, I can see that we're probably going to be in a rude awakening. So hopefully we can try to buy him some golf clubs or something, get him to go in a different direction, because it'd probably be a lot cheaper.
Well, Woody Pitcat, buddy, thank you so much for being on the Morning Bullring here on the Speed 51 Network. Continued success in the modifieds and all the other great endeavors you do in motorsports. And we'll talk to you again sometime if you win again, because I'm sure we'll be seeing you in Victory Lane before the season's out, just like at Wall Stadium Saturday.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me, and I look forward to coming back on soon, hopefully.
There you go. That's Woody Pitcat on the PFC Brakes Performance Hotline. Of course, thank you again to PFC Brakes. No compromises. PFCBrakes.com or call them toll free at 800-521-8874. Proud sponsor of our phone line, Daryl, for the Morning Bullring.
Yeah, and you see PFC brakes on a lot of race cars in Victory Lane, that's for sure. And
not just in asphalt racing, dirt track racing, drag racing. I mean, it's amazing what PFC Brakes has done in the world of motorsports. And again, Woody Pitcat just doing a phenomenal job, winning at Wall Stadium, giving his thoughts about that big event. And I'm really excited that they finally brought the NASCAR Whelen Modifieds back to the Wall Stadium, because I get to travel all over the country. I've only been to Wall Stadium like one time, about probably 7 years ago, for a super modified event, but I popped in just to see something going on there at that track, and that's an awesome atmosphere of fans. They put on an awesome show there with the modifieds, and I'm glad that the powers at NASCAR decided to bring them back.
You haven't been to the Turkey Derby?
Never been to the Turkey Derby. When is that normally? Thanksgiving weekend, I think it
that
is.
would make sense.
It is.
I'm 9 times.
They're not going to do it on Valentine's Day.
Well, I was going to say that. Hello. I'm up earlier than I normally am, people. So, the Turkey Derby. Yeah, normally I'm announcing a race on Thanksgiving Classic or some dirt race somewhere, the Gobbler, something like that, Mark. Yeah.
We got another caller.
Another first-time caller to the PFC Performance Brakes Hotline. We go now. Winner at Birch Run with the Pro Late Models, That's a very unusual thing to say because normally he is a dominant man in super late models, but in pro late models, Johnny Van Dorn joins us. Good morning. How you doing?
Hey guys, good morning, and thanks for having me on the show.
So talk about this big win in pro late models at Birch Run over the weekend and being somebody that normally is a super late model guy.
Yeah, for sure. The nice thing about having the JEG series up here in the Midwest, when we're not running the Super Series, we can go run some of these JEGS races with the pro car and have some fun, keep working on stuff, keep testing stuff, and yeah, man, had an awesome weekend. Had one of those cars that you get, maybe once or twice a year, where just everything's hooked up and the way it's supposed to be, and was able to go out and get the win this Saturday night.
Yeah, speaking of Van Dorn race cars, just getting a new setup. We know you've been talking a little bit about finding some things chassis wise that have made some differences this year. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. With the house car, program that my brother and I do, obviously, being the house car, we're always R&D and trying stuff. And, sometimes it works, sometimes we're heroes, sometimes we're zero. But, that's our big thing is customer support, being able to give our customers, the latest and greatest with the ever evolving sport and changing technology. And so we're always trying stuff. And we've really been hitting on some stuff and had a good run at Nashville that we really felt like was a positive direction of where we needed to go. And we just took it and fine tuned it, and really everything lined up at Birch Run, and was able to get it done and get it done in dominating fashion.
And obviously, you've won races in the past, but does it mean something a little bit more when it comes in one of those cars? With your name on it, it's not. I know you had a past where you worked with Port City and that, but to have a car that's just it's a Van Dorn race car, from scratch, does it mean a little bit more to you to get a victory that way?
Oh, absolutely. That's a great point. You don't even realize it because you're so busy with day-to-day stuff. That's actually why I missed the call earlier. I was helping a customer with some stuff. But yeah, when you're just thrashing every day, just getting stuff done, you don't even really take time to realize that, hey, you know what? We actually, we build these cars from the ground up. This is our own doing. And, I was actually thinking about that Saturday on the way home. Driving the rig, it's like, it's pretty cool to be able to go dominate a race and know that, we did every aspect of it. We built the chassis, we, built the spindles, we built the lowers, we built the uppers, we built, the shocks, it's every aspect of it, knowing that it was our control, and it's a flip side too, because when you go and run, bad and fail, it's your own doing as well. But with that being said, it is ultimately rewarding.
We're talking again. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Johnny. We're talking again to Johnny Van Dorn. I thought you had wrapped it up, driving the number 71 car again on the PFC Performance Hotline. So the word on the street is that you found some new stuff to hook your race car up. And what is your plans for the rest of 2019, my friend?
Yeah, for sure, man. We're basically we'll run a lot of the CRA stuff, a lot of the Super Series stuff. Next race will be Money in the Bank at Berlin. For the 20,000 to win over there. And, we'll try to hit some of these other bigger shows, maybe Slinger Nationals. I'm hoping to get over there if everything lines up. And then, at the end of the year, obviously try to do the All-American. And if we have a really good year, possibly Snowball Derby.
Well, we have a question. Bob Dillner's actually chiming in with a question for you. He wants to know, were you worried about Campbell at all?
Oh, absolutely. He's a top dog up here. He's the man to beat in the Midwest right now, and so he's the one that you're racing when you're at a lot of these CRA races. So be able to outrun him is really says a lot about your stuff. They got a top notch program. He's one of the best drivers really in the country, and it goes right on down to the team. His dad Freddie. He was a heck of a driver for his whole career, and all the crew guys, they got a real stout program. So to be able to go out run him is says a lot as well.
And you mentioned going back to Berlin Raceway, and of course that's kind of his stomping ground. He's kind of owned that track here recently. So, what's it going to take? Maybe approach wise, a different approach from you and your team going into that big Money in the Bank race to beat him at that racetrack.
Yeah, certainly. It's gonna, all the stars got to line up. We got to bring not our A game. We got to bring our triple A game. We got to bring the best, and we'll have a lot of other top dogs there for that one, being 20,000 wins, Bubba. Of course, a lot of other big shoes will show up for that. So, but that's why we race. Like Nashville too, a couple weeks ago. We had the best from the south, we had the best from the east coast, and the best from the north, all at that race. And we finished fourth, and it's like normally fourth place you're upset about, but you take it all in stride and realize what you're racing against. It's pretty cool to be able to go run and just be competitive anymore. Competition nowadays is so tight, so close that it takes a lot. A lot of times it comes down to track position because everyone's running the same lap time, and where your invert, where you start, you start in the front, you can typically finish in the front because it's just everybody is so close, everybody's so good anymore. So yeah, just have to make sure we got all our I's dotted and our T's crossed, and things go our way.
And, of course, you are watching video highlights on the Bullring right now of the event on Saturday at the Birch Run Speedway. We're in the end for the ARCA CRA Pro Late Model Jeg Series. It was, of course, the driver of Johnny Van Dorn getting the big win. And those highlights of that race will be up around 5 o'clock this afternoon. Daryl, on the Speed 51 network, that's why you got to have a subscription. You got to get yourself an email and lock yourself in to be able to see great content like that and what we got going on this weekend.
Yeah, everybody out there, if you're not a member of Speed 51 already, you're missing out. Log in there, get yourself an account. Lots of racing every day. You can see something new on Speed 51. Johnny, you're a new dad. How does that play into what you've got going on? Being a chassis builder, a racer. Racers are never happy, no matter how fast they go. Even though you won, you're still going to be looking for more speed. How does being a new dad tie into how much time you have for the research and development?
Basically, it just means more coffee because it's a lack of sleep at this point. But yeah, no, it's great. My daughter is she'll be 6 weeks old this week, and it's fantastic, man. It's a whole new chapter in life, and it makes winning that much more sweet as well, knowing that raising a family, and it's much more than just Johnny Van Dorn going out there and rubbing fenders and winning. There's a whole bigger picture now with a business and a family and everything. So but yeah, it's just not a lot of sleep these days between work and family, but we still able to get it down. We'll find our energy and coffee. It goes a long ways these days.
And again, Johnny Van Dorn joining us on the program on our PFC Performance line, getting his thoughts about the win at Birch Run. Highlights again will be coming up at Speed 51 Network later on this afternoon. Of course, Johnny, real quickly, talk about just the atmosphere of being somebody like you racing in super late models, because that's where I pretty much know the name of Johnny Van Dorn. And then you're running in a the crate spec motor program that's a pro late model and winning it. Obviously, a win is a win, whether it's in a Legends car or a super late model. Everybody wants to be in victory lane. But my question is there a difference in you can see racing, being a guy that runs super late models? Talk about to our listeners, our viewers on the Morning Bullring, what's it like running a pro late model because of the difference in the power of the engines?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, I think the pros are actually a lot funner to race because the tire that we're on these days, it doesn't really hold up to the supers as well, and it just, there's not a lot of passing in the supers. Where the crates, Saturday night, I felt like the racing was so much better, even with the lack of horsepower, because you're not overkilling the tire and overriding the tire. So there's something left, for the whole race. So there's comers and goers. I honestly was really impressed with him. He said the horsepower, as a driver, yeah, you notice it, but after a few runs in practice, it's like you just become accustomed to it, and you don't really notice a difference. So you just drive the car. So I can see the sport honestly probably going more crate racing as we try to cut costs and do things down the road to try to save the racer money. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think the racing will be better, and time wise, the thing is at the end of the race, our lap times are actually faster than the supers because there's more tire left. So it isn't from a fan's perspective, it isn't like there's we think of crate cars being lack of horsepower, being slower, but you really don't even notice the difference. All it is maybe they're not quite as loud as a super, as far as the noise wise goes. But I think the racing is better, and that's just from driving both at all different tracks too, big tracks, small tracks, and I see good things with them coming down the road.
Well, I'll tell you what, Johnny Van Dorn, we are going to let you go, buddy. Thank you so much for joining us on the May 20th edition of the Morning Bullring. Continued success throughout the 2019 racing season. Big win for you at Birch Run. Remember, the Speed 51 Network will have video highlights of that coming up just after 5 o'clock this afternoon. And thanks for being on this morning.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Anytime. Feel free to give me a call. Have a good day.
There you go, Johnny Van Dorn. And again, Daryl, racing supers, racing crates, that's a totally different world because, it's, I announced nationally for Fast Track. That's a pro late model series, crate late model motors. Super late models is the ultimate series. There's about 150, 200 more horsepower differential between a super and a crate motor. But as he said, when you're racing, you really can't tell the difference.
We see that a lot up north in New York, PA, on the dirt sportsman modifieds. We've got open sportsman. We've got crate sportsman. The crate, nobody knows the difference in the grandstands. They're just as fast. There's way more cars because the cost is cut down. Just a couple weeks ago, I believe it was 3 racetracks had a total of 175 crate sportsmen on dirt. I mean, that puts fans in the stands. It puts on a great show for the fans. You've got several heat races. You've got consies. You've got features. It's just all around way better for short track racing.
You almost wish that they would take the word crate out of the name. And
that's why we use pro.
Yeah,
yes, I hate
call
that
it
word.
a pro late model because the fans hear crate and they get this image in their mind.
Yeah. Yes.
And I heard it just last week. Somebody saying, well, the fans ain't going to come out for a crate show. These are super late model fans.
Whatever.
The pro late model. I mean, the racing is the racing. I go to a racetrack for the racing when I'm a fan. And I don't care whether it's a crate car, a 4-cylinder, a 6-cylinder, an 8-cylinder. I don't care whether it's a built motor, a crate motor. If the racing's good, the racing's good. We saw some incredible racing this past weekend out of mini late models, which are just 600cc engines
exactly
over
right.
at Lakeview. So racing's racing. I wish they would get the word crate out of it and just stop putting that negative connotation into people's heads.
I love that word pro late models. We are 1 hour in to the May 20th edition of the Morning Bullring. We've heard from Brandon Paul, Johnny Van Dorn, Carson Quapple, all as well as Woody Pitcat. Who's coming up next on hour number 2? We'll find out after our timeout on the Bullring.
Speed 51's video network, where the battles are legendary. Get the full picture on short track racing. We'll take you behind the scenes. Your track, your driver, your sport, your passion. Dirt, late models, modifieds, and more. Race highlights, recaps, interviews, and thousands of on-demand videos. Speed 51 Network, short track racers' home for the best video coverage.
tickets, visit BristolMotorSpeedway.com/tickets.
2 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Welcome back to the Morning Bullring on the Speed 51 Network. Along with the man running the boards in the background. You see him pop in once in a while, Mark Keeler. Along with Daryl Canfield, Wesley Outland here with you.
They
Mark?
just saw me because I hit the wrong button. So they got a brief preview of me and Tom.
He's like, oh, they caught me on camera. They're the guys behind the scenes, but they like to pop it on the camera as well. He's got a pretty face for it, too. Hey, we had a great...
Much.
Do what?
I said not so much.
Not so much. So, and thank you to all of our viewers as well. Share it. If you love the show, you love the Morning Bull Ring, share. Comment. If you have quick questions for our guests, leave them in the box. We appreciate them.
We need to get some regular commenters on our Facebook, like people that'll comment every week other than Connor Sullivan.
There you go.
Because Connor's the one that every single week, he's the first one on there. And I appreciate him being up this early with us because he doesn't have to be.
And by the way, before we come back with the racing news here in just a moment, Laura Tucker, who I got to hang out with since Thursday at Lakeview with the Dirt Cup Challenge, and we'll talk about that here as well. Johnny Van Dorn from Jimmy's mom, see you at Berlin. She said, congratulations on your big win. So Johnny Van Dorn, again, winning the JEGS All-Star Pro Late Model event for the CRA Series. Right now, it is time for motorsports news from across the country with a recap on the Morning Bull Ring. Here's my good friend, Mr. Tom Ryan. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Wesley. Good morning, Daryl. Good morning, Zach and Mark, and everybody out there. The short track news today. We're going to start off with Short Track America crew was in Lakeview, South Carolina at the UMP Modifieds. And during the Open Wheel Madness, whoa. All right.
You got to talk into the mic.
I wasn't talking into the mic?
No, it ain't working.
Here we go. Here we go. All right. Backup microphone. Here we go.
Literally a handoff, like a football play.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, the shirtless Daniel Parker picks up the $3,000 check for the win. And he also picked up the 6'6" trophy for the Dirt Cup Series out at Lakeview Speedway, which is, like we were talking earlier in the show, an amazing speedway, and they do a lot of great stuff there for the fans, for the racers, to make racing there great again. And it was good to hear Alan Dietz on the mic out there also.
And, you know, Daniel Parker, this is the biggest win of his career, and it's a $3,000 payday. But I talked to him on Facebook Messenger on Saturday night, Sunday morning when I was laying in bed at the hotel after the rain out at Volunteer, go figure. But, yeah, he was like, Wesley, man, being somebody that's raced at Fayetteville, raced at Dublin, I don't think about what this race pays. This is like something very prestigious in my career, and he'll always remember that, Daryl.
Yeah, you know, big races for guys to win. You know, some guys, they can race for years and never win, or just win once or twice. So anytime you can pull into victory lane is a great thing.
And remember, of course, as Tom, and we'll throw it back to him with the news in just a moment, it was recorded with an enhanced broadcast for Speed 51 Short Track America on the MAV TV Motorsports Network. That race will air on July 13th on the MAV TV Motorsports Network.
A lot of onboards on that telecast, hopefully. Well, we have a bunch recorded, so hopefully they'll work them into the program. I think everyone's going to enjoy the broadcast a lot. Anyway, the JEGS All-Star Tours battled at Birch Run Speedway, as we just heard from Johnny Van Doren on Saturday. Highlights tonight at 5 p.m. Mid-race, there was a dust-up between Steve Dorr and Brian Campbell. Wait till you see that in the highlights, not to mention in the recap. Brian Campbell gives his thoughts on that. JVD wins at Birch Run, followed by Hunter Jack. And hometown driver Dan Leake takes third, the third spot there. As seen on Twitter, not really. The ARCA Series was on the High Bank Salem Speedway in a rain-shortened race. Oh, that's right, Toledo. Sorry about that. Georgia boy Chandler Smith takes home the win, leading 140 of the 152 laps, followed by Ty Gibbs, Christian Chocolate Chip Eckes, Michael Self, and Sam Mayer round out the top five. Travis Braden was your points leader going into the race, but now he has fallen back to second over behind Michael Self.
Whose nickname is Chocolate Chip?
Christian Eckes.
I love that. That's his nickname? Chocolate Chip?
I just gave it to him.
I never knew that. Why do you call him Chocolate Chip?
Because after he won the Snowball Derby, he was sitting there in his car waiting to climb out in victory lane, and someone hands him a chocolate chip, and his face was priceless. Like, what do you want me to do with this thing right now?
Wow. The heck with the Tom Dawson trophy. I just want a chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah, well, I don't want to call him chocolate chip cookie. Anyway, the ROC Modifieds opened up their 2019 season at the Chemung Speedrome, and Andy Jankowiak. How'd I do with that?
Andy Jankowiak.
Yeah, I did pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. He takes home the win for race number 1 for the ROC series, followed by Zach Curran and Brian Sherwood. What a great bunch of racing, by the way, which you can see on the Speed 51 network. Today, we had a rookie shooter out there, but he's a veteran for our staff. And Evan Canfield, shout out to you. Nice job on the highlights. We also are going to have a recap from that. Is it his first time on camera, Daryl?
No, he's been on just doing a little bit here and there.
Yeah, he did some super dirt car stuff for us, right?
Thunder Mountain Speedway here just a couple weeks ago. He shot it just a little bit, but
no, I'm talking about him being on camera.
Oh, on camera. I think that's rookie on camera. Yeah.
No, I think he might have done a super dirt car way back. Anyway, a couple years ago. Anyway, moving on. Also, Bob Bogner won the Race of Champions 4-cylinder dash series, followed by Jacob Gustafson and Dan Dressel. And I guess that's all we have right now for the news. We got more coming up at the top of the hour. There's a ton of other stuff to cover. It was a very busy weekend.
Hey, Tom, I should have stayed in Lakeview, South Carolina with you on Saturday. Instead of leaving at like midnight Friday morning or Friday night, driving after that, going to Volunteer Speedway. Me and Zach Evans, we got up here, only had 3 hours of sleep, Mark Keeler, drove home, got home, laid down for like 3 hours, 3.5 hours, drove all the way here to Charlotte to the studios, drove all the way up to Bulls Gap to Volunteer Speedway.
Sounds to me like you're complaining.
Beautiful. I am sick of rainouts, Mark.
Hey, at least you only had to go to Volunteer this time, not all the way up to the Ohio
That's true.
River.
Me and you went all the way up to Tyler County Speedway last week, a matter of fact, Daryl, and 10 miles, no cell service, no man's land, and we find out via text for his phone, not mine. Race is canceled.
No, you found it on Facebook, remember?
Did I find out?
Yeah, you found it on Facebook because I texted
must have just got lucky
Bob
or
and I
something.
said, hey, we're like 7 miles from the racetrack, and they rained out. He said, are you kidding me?
Yes.
And here's the best part. There was only 20% chance of rain that day.
Yes.
But that's not a knock on the racetrack because we got there, it was raining.
Yeah.
Me and you had to walk around and could barely even walk because of the amount of mud. So that wasn't a knock on the racetrack that it was only 20% chance of rain because it was raining. Real quick, I want to give a couple shout-outs. People chiming in on social media. Kevin Poston watching from Greenville, South Carolina. Jeff Sandlin, Strange Oval, hashtag Strange Oval. They're watching this morning, so welcome, and thank you for tuning in to the Morning Bullring. We're trying to get our next guest on the line, but it might be too early for Fergie time because he's not answering. So I'm going to keep trying that, and in the meantime, we're going to throw it back to you two on the desk, and you guys get to kill some time. So show us your chops here. You get to kill time.
Well, again, this is my take about rainouts, Daryl Canfield, because I'm just sick of it, man. Now, here's something to think about. I'm a stat guy. I love to keep up with numbers. I love to keep up with, finishes, points, and everything. Well, I also try to keep up with races. I don't know if you follow us on our fast track circuit. Of course, remember, the Speed 51 Network is the official video media of the Fast Track Companies International. We got the Triple Crown this weekend. You got the Ultimate Northeast. You forgot about those races, Tom Ryan. Ultimate Northeast, ultimatesupers.com for information on those. We'll talk about that. I believe we got one at State Line Speedway coming up on Saturday, and Sunday we're at Erie Speedway in Erie, Pennsylvania for the Ultimate Northeast Super Late Model Series. Around your neck of the woods.
I will be there.
There
I
you
can't
go.
wait.
Give me a high five, right?
The Ultimates are awesome.
Jeff and Rose are great people for Jeff and Rose Compton, that is, with Fast Track Companies International for the Ultimate Northeast Series. And they are really, really looking forward. They love the relationship that is now with the Speed 51 Network. Tom Ryan, what's up, buddy?
No, Dirt Late Models were next up on my news. I just cut it because I figured we were going to a guest. But since the Fergie time's bailing on us, let's hit the Dirt Late Models. Carolina Clash invaded Carolina Speedway in Gastonia on Friday, live on the Speed 51 Network. After running 2 and 3 multiple times, or second and third multiple times, Trent Ivey wins his first dirt super late model race. Highlights will be on the Speed 51 Network.
Do you know his nickname? the little head knocker, because his father was the big head knocker.
That's fantastic. I love that. It's almost as good as Ironhead, but not quite. On Saturday, the Ultimate Late Models battled at Modoc Speedway, and a surprising winner who started 10th shook all his bad luck. Fortunately for him, from the night before, the clock struck Fergie time, who we're actually waiting on, won over Johnny Persley and Casey Roberts. Highlights are on the Speed 51 network as we speak. USAC Chris Wyndham won Tri-City in the USAC sprint car. Tyler Courtney in a midget was victorious at Tri-City also.
Sunshine Tyler Courtney.
That's right. And USAC Silver Crown this week, a big chapter in the history books will close the final Hoosier 100 at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. A sad time.
Yeah.
On May 23rd. And May 24th, they're going to be at Lucas Oil Raceway in Brownsburg right before the Indy 500.
Hey, guys, speaking of Indy 500, how about Fernando Alonso getting bumped out of the final spot, Mark Keeler, for the Indianapolis 500 yesterday? Me and Zach were like, well, Zach's
Is that
driving.
a race?
For the Indy 500? Oh, I forgot. He doesn't like Indy cars.
I will say
Daryl,
that's
I'll
the
throw
only-
this to you instead.
I'm going to say that is a form of racing
Zach, get
that I
in
do
here.
not like.
Zach,
But-
Alfonso, but man, that was tough break there. What did I say, Alfonso?
Fernando
Alonso. There you go.
Yeah.
So it was what Mark said that just threw me off guard. Man.
I'm going to throw you off
Definitely.
guard again because I'm going to throw a surprise guest at you on the hotline. Are you ready for a surprise guest?
A surprise
A
guest.
surprise guest.
Is it a first-time caller?
No preparation. Nope,
Hey,
second-time caller. Oh,
Listen, get the darn names right, Wesley. Come on now.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what? It's Mark because he doesn't like Indy cars. And I was just thinking Fernando Alonso.
Don't you take
Alfonso.
ownership of your own mistakes. You don't blame other people.
Good morning, Bob Dillner.
Okay, Daddy. Racing Daddy. I'll call him that. Yeah, because
Well,
Wow.
I am playing a dad right now because I'm driving the kids to school after
Wow.
a long weekend up in Toledo, and got home super late last night. Got a chance to see Daryl Canfield, who doesn't get to town too often, so we hung out outside of his hotel room for a little while, and then got off to sleep after some emails and so forth. And now driving the kids to school in my PJs. How about that?
Daryl got to hang out with BD. I was at another hotel by myself. I went to bed early though. I'll tell you what though, joining us on folks, the PFC Performance Line is of course the boss, the man, the founder behind Speed 51 Network, the Bullring, and all the other great things that go on. It is Bob Dillner of MAV TV. Bob, talk about yesterday, Toledo Speedway, the Sioux Chief 200, fighting the weather, 152 of 200 laps, and getting the race in before the big storm hit. Go.
Well, first of all, Mother Nature just sucks. Okay, I thought I was
Thank
a fan
you.
of hers.
He
She's like
agrees.
the sunshine sometimes, and and then I swear we have this like spreadsheet on 51, and in April and May we have more red on the spreadsheet than anywhere else, ever in the history of 51, which is like 18 years old right now, and red signifies a postponement or a cancellation. So, fortunately yesterday we got enough laps to be official for the Arca Menard Series at Toledo, and it was an interesting race. Plenty of drama for sure. There was a lot of bumping and banging going on, especially between the teammates, Chandler Smith and Michael Self, who's battling for a championship in Arca. And I was surprised at how aggressive Chandler Smith was there in the early going, but it paid off for him. He dominated once he got by Michael Self in that Sinclair machine, and we had all sorts of drama between Haley Deegan making her first ARCA start and Joe Graf Jr. and who did what and who was to blame, and people being called all sorts of names, on
What is the deal with this new word that everybody
I can't-
uses, Bob?
I can't repeat the name.
Exactly. I know we're not going to repeat the name, but what is the reasoning behind people using this name lately? I don't understand that.
Well, I mean, listen, you got to applaud Haley. She's passionate, and she is not a good loser. And honestly, that's that competitive spirit that comes from her dad, Brian. And I love it. I love the fact that, she is tough as nails. She was ticked off. Hey, she might have said the wrong word. Okay, it happens. Haven't we all? Okay, so
That's
if
true.
anybody's going to jump on her for that, go take a jump in the lake, honestly, because she is competitive. She's got that passion. I love it. She was ticked, and she wasn't happy with Joe Graf Jr. I talked to a couple people yesterday, and I saw a little bit, obviously, through what we were covering on MAV TV. And, from what people have told me, Graf was running her really tight. And he ran her really tight going up into the corner again. And, because he ran her tight, she had already gotten that run and that nose up underneath. And the general rule of thumb is you got to be at the rear tires. She was at the rear tires when Graf was coming down. And listen, they made contact. They hit the wall. They had a, kind of war of words, so to speak, between social media and that. She kind of toned down what she called him, on NAV TV to the point when she got, I think she just said he was a squirrel at that point. I love it because that means the next time Joe Graf Jr. and Haley Deegan are on the racetrack, people are going to be watching because we know those two don't like each other anymore.
That's exactly right. And by the way, she has got a Venturini Motorsports 1 of 6 races for 2019 on the ARCA Menard Series. And Mark Keeler, of course, it's just, I love the emotion. I love, we talk about 100% short tracks. You get that emotion, you get that excitement. And I love seeing it come from the battle of the sexes, not just male drivers, but also female drivers as well.
Absolutely. And Bob, of course, with the ARCA Menard series that you're covering with MAV TV, and you get to work alongside some really cool people. And we're looking at a picture on your Twitter page right now of you and Jim Trado. And what's it like, the chemistry that you and him really developed right from the onset to be able to call those races live on MAV?
Yeah, the funny thing, I've known Jim for such a long time. I think we began working together in the year 2000 with the old ASA National Tour. And, we worked together for a few years there, and then we worked together a little bit in ARCA when I had my first stint in ARCA. And then, I've seen him at the Cup tracks because he does a lot of announcing duties and so forth at some of the Cup tracks. And then we were reunited a few years ago again. And Jim is just so much fun. In fact, one of the first broadcasts that we live streamed on Speed 51, he was part of that, the Slinger Nationals up in Wisconsin. So, I think, number one, we have a friendship, and honestly, that friendship is born out of the fact that we're both passionate about short track racing. When we're at a track, we were already talking about, hey, listen, we're going to Gateway in a couple of weeks. On Friday night, the Summer Nationals are at Tri-City Speedway. You want to go? We were talking about that at Culver's yesterday, and we're planning on going to Tri-City Speedway in Grant City, Illinois, to see the dirt late models and the dirt modifieds. And I think that passion, that friendship is born out of that. We just have a good time. We just, kind of act like two dudes sitting up there and talking about what we love so much. And MAV TV has given us the opportunity to do that. Celia and Luke dropping off the kid at school right now. So, but at the same time, Jim and I just love talking up there, having fun up in the booth, and hopefully that translates to what people are able to see at home.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Again, Bob Dillner's on the PFC Performance Line, and I can say kudos to the same thing, Daryl, about Jim Trado. I've worked with him not worked with him, but I have known him from the Cup Series races, doing things at some of the NASCAR tracks. I'm doing public address work, and he's doing things with MRN or for other media things. And I think Bob hit it on the nail there. You got to have chemistry with the people that you're working with, because if you just don't mesh, you just don't work right, things are probably going to spiral out of control. And when you got somebody that you just click and connect with, it just makes things flow so much easier.
People that are passionate about short track racing in general are going to get along. The chemistry that Bob and Jim have is amazing. I love watching those guys on TV. Bob, let's go back to Chandler Smith for a second. You said he was aggressive. He's got to live up to the #1 short track draft on Speed 51.
Yes.
Yes, he does, and he did that yesterday. And honestly, Chandler Smith, after those 2 victories last year in the ARCA Menard Series, his first few races this year have been good top 5 finishes. But it was like that stick that was poking Chandler Smith. He hadn't won again this year, and he was getting a little bit annoyed. And he's got a good attitude, but I tell you what, he's got a lot of confidence now too. I will say that he's beaming with confidence, and that definitely translated to the racetrack yesterday. He was ticked off that he did not win the General Tire Pole Award when they had qualifying the day before the event. And he said it ate at him all night long that his teammate Michael Self, who had never been to Toledo, won the pole. And you could see that he had that vengeance yesterday, and he just attacked that racetrack. And Billy Venturini set up that car pretty well for him, that he was able to do that. And, at some point I was going, man, he needs to back off. He needs to back her down. He's got this big advantage, and he is so talented. And I know there was some controversy, so to speak, about him being the number one pick. But how can you doubt the fact that what he's been able to do, going from a late model where he was just fairly successful. And I don't say that as criticism. He won Speed Fest. Okay, that was big. That was a crown jewel event. Never won at Five Flags Speedway. Okay, so a lot of people question whether or not this kid was going to be good, honestly, in a heavier stock car. And he's kind of like, think about it. Jimmy Johnson was just in some of the other cars before he got to the Cup Series. And he's pretty darn good. So Chandler Smith tells us, that the ARCA car is honestly to some degree for him and how he tackles a race and his driving is easier to drive than a super late model. He said the super late model really taught him a lot. I think that's really cool and something that a lot of these younger drivers should take notice of. And so he wins. But the kid that was in second, Ty Gibbs, has honestly impressed me tenfold. Because when I went into this, and I've seen Ty race up until the ARCA cars once or twice, but I've read about him on Speed 51, and obviously he's the grandson of Joe Gibbs. And, he people will say, well, he's got stuff easy. Okay, well, he's fortunate to be blessed to be born into a family that can provide for him. You can't discount him for that. But at the same time, I can be kind of, just wondering about whether or not he was going to be good. And I went into Pensacola and the races that he's run, and I said, okay, let's give this kid a fair shake. Let's see how he is. He's been pretty decent in a late model stock car. He won that race earlier this year at the Myrtle Beach Speedway. And I am so darn impressed with Ty Gibbs. I will tell you that right now. If the short track draft were right now, I would have put him up a couple of pegs. 3 second place runs in ARCA in 4 starts. Okay, you can say, well, he hasn't won yet. What I'm impressed with is this.
Consistency.
Well, no, not consistency, Wesley. Honestly, if you look at his performances, the kid gets better the longer in the run, and that is so opposite of most kids and teenagers coming up through the ranks. Usually they're fast, they burn up the tires, and then they fall back, okay? We've seen several drivers like that, the younger ones in ARCA do that. He doesn't. It's opposite. He saves his stuff. He's maybe not necessarily as good on the restarts, and then he keeps on coming. And Chandler Smith knew he was coming when that rain came at lap 152. So it was going to be interesting to see what Ty Gibbs and Chandler Smith were going to be able to do together to settle the score until Mother Nature kind of dampened the spirits of a lot of people there. But Ty Gibbs is another one that I'm super impressed with, honestly, with his performances and so forth. Like I said, a lot of us go, wonder how the kid's going to be. I am impressed, flat out impressed.
Bob Dillner again joining us on the PFC Performance Line. Zach Evans, me and you were watching the race when we had service cut in and out coming back through the mountains. That was some pretty intense ARCA race in the opening laps because, like Bob said, we were fighting the weather.
Yes, but I wanted to touch on, Bob talked about Ty Gibbs because I actually wrote the scouting report on Ty for the 2018 short track draft, and that was something that I said at the time he really needed to work on. He was one of those kids that charged way too hard at the early, burned up his tires at places like Myrtle Beach. So it's so impressive that we've seen that development out of him at this point in his career.
And I think it has to do, honestly, with Hal Martin, his spotter. Hal's a former racer, Mark McFarland, his crew chief, who obviously was the head of MDM, and we all know how well MDM did before they imploded and, went away this year. So Mark is a smart guy. Hal is tutoring him right behind the wheel. And Ty, is a good kid, smiling all the time. He's got nothing to frown about. I mean, he's got the world in his hand right now in terms of development. And I'm proud of the kid that he is, except for the fact that, man, he is rough on a go-kart track. You never want to get out on a go-kart track with Ty Gibbs. He will nail you at full speed, even if you are standing still. So look out if you see Ty Gibbs at a go-kart track.
Bob, I do have some incriminating video on my phone from Fast Eddie's from a couple of years ago where you kind of pulled a similar move on a couple of people.
Uh-oh.
Well, I think I was ticked off. He was just doing it for fun.
And it's funny you guys talked about how Ty has kind of come into his own, and and changed what he needed to change. And I can honestly say the same about Chandler Smith, because I remember watching him when he first got with Ricky Turner, and he wasn't aggressive enough. And that was something they were preaching to him, is saving your stuff, saving your stuff. And then I think it was late when he was going for the championship for Southern Super Series. All of a sudden, he had to go to the back of the pack in one race, and he became aggressive like instantly. So it's awesome watching these kids like Ty Gibbs, like Chandler Smith, even like a Christian Eckes, and watching them from a young age and seeing how they develop and they change their driving style and how adaptive they are to make their move up through the ranks. And I think that's a really cool thing with the ARCA series.
Yeah, and we see, I know the car count is down a little bit in the ARCA Menard series this year. There's a transition going on. They're working out in terms of NASCAR coming into the fold and working out how the K&N cars are going to work with the ARCA cars. They've had a couple of tests already. I think we're going to see the benefits of that when we get later on in the ARCA schedule and we get to Salem again. And when we get to Lucas Oil Raceway, I think by then you might see some crossover. And obviously that's a lot still to be decided there, but I think we'll see those car counts rise again. But if you look at the quality in terms of the drivers, that's incredible. I mean, you have Corey Heim, the 16-year-old kid out of Georgia. You have the kid out of Michigan, another teenager that doesn't even have his driver's license yet, Carson Hocevar. He's broke basically NASCAR's rules back at Berlin Raceway by winning in a late model at a NASCAR sanctioned track when he was too young to compete. And now he's here, at 16 years old, running in the ARCA series. 15-year-old Sam Mayer, who's, just lighting up right now the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East. He is there. You get Chandler Smith, Michael Selson, old dude at 28 years old, Christian Eckes for Venturini Motorsports, former Snowball Derby winner, and won at Nashville a few weeks ago in the ARCA series. The kid is just flat out talented as well, and his personality has improved tenfold from when he made that first Snowball Derby start several years ago. So I love what I see. Tanner Gray. You talk about a kid that I am just honestly super proud of what he's doing, because he stepped out of a pro stock, two-time NHRA pro stock champion, said, I want to try oval track racing. Well, a lot of people might say, oh, ridiculous, rich kid, right? He's not doing it, in the fashion that some people may make him out to be doing it. He is so dedicated. He's ticked off when he's not running well. He's blaming himself, not blaming the car, like so many rich young kids honestly do. And Tanner Gray is a grounded kid. So is his brother Taylor. I love their spirit. I love their competitiveness. And I love what I see out of a lot of these kids on the ARCA Menard series.
I think something we got to touch on is, money doesn't buy talent. Money may make you go fast. But, these kids, they have seat of the pants ability to race.
Yes, that's what gets me about so many people, Bob and Daryl, is I see some people say, well, it's daddy's money, it's sponsors' money, and these drivers, they don't know what they're doing, they can't drive cars. Yeah, you might on a percentage have something of that happen, but for the most part, these kids that are in these race cars, and I don't mean no disrespect by calling them kids, they're talented. They can drive race cars. You put them in the right equipment, and they can shine with it.
Money will get you there, but it won't keep you there.
That's true. You're exactly right. It's kind of like the old cliche is, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. Bottom line.
Yeah, Tanner Gray was used to going in a straight line.
Yes.
What does that have to do with going in a circle?
He was awesome.
And Tanner Gray, also one of those drivers that's driven at Millbridge Speedway quite a bit. And Bob, this is one of our favorite times of the year is this upcoming week, and what's going to happen with the Outlaw carts over at Millbridge here in the next couple days. Talk to us about that, and just I'm kind of throwing you a curve, but the relationship here with Speed 51 and Millbridge Speedway and everything we've been able to do there.
Well, listen, our relationship is great with Jeremy and Ashley Burnett. We love the feistiness of Ashley, and she's passionate, and Jeremy is just, an accepting guy, and they have, interesting personalities, and that's what makes Millbridge Speedway go. I love the fact that we get to do that. I love the fact that we are the home for video home of Millbridge Speedway, and Speed 51 Open means so much to us. I give you this too, and this is an interesting conversation. So I'm sitting in the airport yesterday, and Mike Bliss. Obviously, a lot of people know Mike Bliss as a winner in the NASCAR Truck Series, but he cut his teeth in the open wheel ranks in USAC and so forth, and he loves short track racing. When we come up and he's talking about the ARCA race and so forth, and at the same time, he goes, "Hey, by the way, you gonna be up at Millbridge this week?" And I said, "Yep, gonna be up there." He goes, "Man, that's a cool event." And it shows you just, how big that event and Millbridge Speedway has become, because people like Nick Bliss, who, yes, is a retired NASCAR driver, but at the same time, he was a very successful NASCAR driver. He still pays attention to things like the Speed 51 Open and Millbridge Speedway. Kyle Larson's another one. We expect him to be up there this weekend, or this Wednesday, I should say. I'm so used to saying racing on the weekend. So I think just that right there, and the fact that it's right outside of the heart of stock car country is so important. Sorry, I got my son right here with me. But, the Speed 51 Open is really cool in terms of, how competitive that place is. And I love the fact that you have, a guy like Tom Hubert, who's one of the older dudes, okay, going up against guys like Carson Kvapil and Max McLaughlin. McLaughlin wanted to be on the show this morning. He wanted to, but he's in the simulator right now, preparing himself for some big time rides. And, you got to say kudos to him for having that dedication and not coming on the show. But he'll be out there. He won last week at Millbridge. And I think Max McLaughlin's got to be one of the favorites up there. But that atmosphere up there is pretty cool, because you do have, the Casey Canes that go up there, and you never know who's going to show up. And it's a big crowd, a lot of fanfare, cool T-shirts by Arizona Sports Shirts for the event that will be available. Christine will be up there with speed51.com selling our shirts, and it'll be a live pay-per-view broadcast on Wednesday. 2-day package. You can also see Tuesday night's events. And, it'll be also part of MAV TV with Speed 51 Short Track America on a tape delayed basis. I don't remember the date, honestly, off the top of my head, but we know it'll be in next couple of months, and we'll have some cool onboard footage and speed shots and interviews and all sorts of stuff that you won't see as part of the live stream, but you get to see with the pay-per-view broadcast, that live stream on Wednesday night, and it will be a blast.
And, of course, this Wednesday night on MAV TV Short Track America is the opening race of the Blizzard Series, the official opener race to the Road to the Snowball Derby, which is, by the way, broadcasted on the Speed 51 network in December. That is the Blizzard Series at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central. Replays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central on MAV TV Motorsports Network. And in addition to that, if you don't have MAV TV, and I've had to help people with that so many times, because they say, well, what if we don't have MAV TV? Well, first off, call your local cable satellite subscriber, tell them you want to order it. If not, you can get the Lucas Oil Racing TV app. And I mean, they have got everything on this thing. And Bob Dillner, speaking of Lucas Oil, speaking of the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, I think they got 1 out of 3 races or 2 out of 3 shows in this weekend. A wild show at 34 Raceway won by Hudson O'Neill on Thursday night with I want to say it was like a cornfield track, so to speak. But the Show Me 100, one of the prestigious dirt super late model races at Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri, is this weekend as well, and you're going to be there on MAV TV.
I'm so looking forward to this race. The Show Me 100, the tribute to Don and Billy Gibson, and the Cowboy Classic. Those are the 3 shows, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that will be had for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series at Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri. And this place is just, you talk about magical. I know I get passionate about a lot of races. This is certainly one that everybody that goes and experience will be passionate about for the rest of their life, because it's like a field of dreams. I mean, seriously, sorry, I just dropped something in my house. But at the same time, it's really neat. You're getting to hear a little bit of Bob Dillner at home. It's really neat because you have a population of 371, and it's just electrifying from the fact that thousands of fans come from out of nowhere. There's not a hotel within an hour of the place. And all of a sudden, you get these 15,000 people in the grandstands. It's the Show Me 100. There's fireworks in the air. There's all sorts of stuff going on. It's the biggest names in dirt late model racing, and they're going after some big bucks and some big pride and so forth is on the line. And that's what I love about it. You know, there's no stoplight in Wheatland, Missouri. There's one restaurant, one.
And the food's good.
It's called the Crappy Hole. Okay, so my son he goes, Daddy, we go to the Crappy Hole when we go to Wheatland, Missouri. That's all there is. But there are just oodles of campers. People come from all over the Midwest, and it's a lot of fun. You know, when you see the real deal Don O'Neill, and we're going to have a very special guest star in our booth live on MAM TV on Saturday night for the Show Me 100. Can't reveal it yet, Wesley, but at the same time, it's going to be a lot of fun to have that person up in the booth with us, talking live on MAM TV. Show Me 100 just shows you the dedication of MAM TV as well to put this dirt late model race live on network television.
Well, Bob, and I'll vouch for you here. Anybody that thinks that this is just some lip service, you touting that racetrack, since I moved to North Carolina 4 years ago, every time you've gone to that track, that's all I've heard about, is how much you love that track in Wheatland, Missouri. So anybody that thinks that he's just talking about it, I will vouch for him there 100% because I've heard about it personally, how great the atmosphere, the track, the racing, the facility, everything is out there at Wheatland.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, they power wash every square inch of the cement after every event. Okay, that's something else for a dirt track, is things can get pretty dirty in a hurry, honestly. You know, for all the people out at that racetrack, but it's beautiful. They have a bar, they have a restaurant, they sell cheese curds, Mark, and you know me and my cheese curds.
Oh, that does it right there.
They have cheese curds out at Lucas Oil Speedway.
Hey, real quickly, I'm going to throw it back to Daryl here in a minute, but speaking of the Show Me 100, how about the announcement, Bob Dillner, over the weekend that the Moequa missile from Illinois, Shannon Babb, is going to be driving Scott Bloomquist's number 0 car at Wheatland this weekend?
Yeah, that's something that we've honestly known about for a little while. And I think it's pretty cool. They've had a good relationship for a really long time. Shannon Babb, former Topless 100 winner of Batesville, Arkansas, and he's won oodles of the Hell Tour, the Summer Nationals, late model events for so many years. And he's a good racer, and Scott and him really get along really well. So I believe that he'll do well in Bloomquist's machine. It's a little different than what he's been used to running in terms of a chassis. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out for him. But he's one that's going to be a guy to contend for the big money on the line on Saturday. So really excited to see that. Really excited to see everybody. Jonathan Davenport, Superman, is on a tear. In the points-paying races this year, Jonathan Davenport has not finished out of the top 4. That's incredible. In points-paying races, he hasn't finished outside the top 4 in the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series. You got to be kidding me. We thought last year was impressive with Jonathan Davenport and that dream team. This year, even more impressive, and that's why he leads the points.
So is he going to be your pick to win the Show Me 100?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. It's so hard to tell. You know, we got to see once we get out there, see how everybody's running. Bobby Pierce is always good there. You know, you can't count out Bobby Pierce. You know, Jimmy Owens has won that a bunch of times as well, and Jimmy Owens is starting to get hot as we get into the summer months. There's a lot of contenders, man. You can get the Simpson brothers. They can be very strong. You know, there's going to be a ton of late models out there. I mean, I think you'll probably be over 50 cars, and because of that, it's very hard. And it depends on the track surface and so forth, and how they prepare it, and how it lends or doesn't lend to a driver's driving style. So you can't put your finger on any one, but Jonathan Davenport will definitely be one of the favorites.
Well, Bob Dillner, buddy, enjoy the rest of your day off safely. Glad that you got in back from Toledo, Ohio. Glad that ARCA fought the weather. I know you only got like 48 laps to get in the checkered flag, but you got it in, and we appreciate you being on the Morning Bullring. Thank you for letting me step in and host here for the next couple of weeks, and appreciate everything that you do for motorsports. And, man, it's going to be, hopefully our fingers crossed that weather will be good this weekend everywhere for racing.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Have a good show.
Absolutely. I'm glad that me and Bob are in agreement that we are sick of rainouts. He agrees as well. Bob Dillner of Speed 51. We are going to go right back to the PFC Performance Line, and joining us on the program, of course, coming up here very, very shortly is going to be a good friend of mine, the Buffalo Missile of Andy Jankowiak. We're going to get him lined up here on the program. A great, great program here on the Morning Bullring about short track racing. It's off the cuff. It's uncensored. It's, you see things twitch and change and make quick adjustments. And Daryl, this is all live. And that's what I love about live, because if something goes wrong, you don't want them to go wrong, but you quickly just try to readapt, go right back to it and continue and roll along.
That's part of the best thing about short track racing. There's so much to talk about. We could be here for days and not cover just what happened over this past weekend or what's coming up just in the next couple days at Millbridge Speedway at the Speed 51 Open, which you can watch live. This weekend, again, lots of racing live on the Speed 51 network. Join up, be a member. Got lots to offer to all the short track race fans out there. Looking forward to, talking to our next guest. I believe Mark Keeler has him, so.
And by the way, a first-time guest at that, and real one quick thing left with Bob Dillner, what he was talking about for Short Track America, the Lakeview Motor Speedway Road to Beach 50 will be on July 10th, and when he was mentioning about the Mini Outlaws, that will be on July 17th from Millbridge Speedway on MAV TV Motorsports Network for Short Track America, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. To the lines we go, to the PFC Performance Line from Buffalo, New York. I call him the Buffalo Missile. I hang out with him for like the last 2 or 3 years during Indianapolis at PRI, and of course he won at the Chemung Speedrome in the Race of Champions Modified Opener. Andy Jankowiak, welcome to the Bullring, my friend.
Hi, Wesley. How are you?
It's so cool that he's on and I'm on the program. We got some funny stories, Andy J, don't we, buddy?
We have plenty, my friend.
Especially if we get some liquid courage in us in Indianapolis during PRI. There's always some fun times there. Talk about your big win at the Lid Lifter 75 at Chemung Speedrome on yesterday, as a matter of fact.
That was a wild one. I knew we had a good car, and I knew we had a shot to do it, but it kind of turned more into a survival thing by the end of it. So, you just got to play the cards you were dealt, and, we were able to come out on top there. We missed a couple jingles there, and I think the Red 60 car is probably my toughest competition, and he got caught up a little bit and won, and he had to come back through the field, and he got back up to us, and then he ended up getting one more jingle, and then that was it. So I'm not sure if he would have enough to get around us or not, but I think it would have been a race. But fortunately for me, I didn't have to deal with him.
So, Andy, I'm used to interviewing you in person, not hundreds of miles away, as I'm in the studio in Charlotte, and you're back home.
Because he's from New York, like you are, Andy J.
Yeah. It was it's great to see Chemung Speedrome up and going this year. I know that was in doubt for a little while. Sounded like they had a great event there yesterday, kept things rolling. 14 cautions. So, yeah, a lot of action in a 75-lap race. Looked like you pretty much had them covered with the issues that Matt had for sure. Didn't help his cause. But, what's it mean for you to kick off the 2019 season in Victory Lane?
Well, we knew we had a shot. It's my first win at Chemung, but I've run second there in a modified probably 6-7 times. I think every time I've ever gone there with a modified, I finished second. So we've had some excellent runs there. We've been so close. I've been second to Zacharias. I've been second to Matt before. I was leading one there with 2 to go, and blew a tube seal in the rear end, and Hosfeld passed me on the last lap. So I've lost enough there to know how to lose them. So to finally figure out how to get a win was pretty cool. It's a good track for us. I ran some weekly stuff over there, and with their 2-barrel stuff to try to learn the track once I got it modified, and to see it finally pay off. It's pretty cool. So it felt good to get one. We knew we had a shot. We ran real strong there last year. We were right on Matt's bumper there at the end. But, it feels great to finally get one over there and get that out of the way and get this season started out the right way. We were real close to winning that championship last year, and it was basically a winner take all. Me and Hosfeld went to the last race tied, and we were running second then in the 250 with 50 to go, and the engine ended up expiring. So, I guess we got something to go accomplish this year, though. So that's cool.
And for all the Andy J fans out there, you can catch those highlights on the Speed 51 network. The highlights of their Lid Lifter 75 from Chemung. They're up on the Speed 51 network now. We'll also have a recap coming up there probably later on today or tomorrow. You can see all the action.
I just want to break into announcer mode when I see racing on that. It's like, squirrel!
The highlights will be up today at 6.
Around 6 o'clock?
Yeah, recap sometime just after lunchtime.
That is Tom Ryan's voice in the background.
So, Andy, back to Victory Lane yesterday. I know it was an emotional day on the ROC Tour for a 79-year-old Ken Canistrari, who's pretty much calling it quits. I know you got to talk to Ken for a few minutes. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I always stop and talk to Kenny whenever I see him at the racetrack. He's a living legend out there. So, it's always cool to talk to him and catch a few stories. He was friends with my dad and all that. So, it's always great to talk to Kenny. So, actually, I had my stepdaughter with me for the weekend. My 13-year-old stepdaughter is like, come on, you got to meet Ken Canisteri because, he's a racing legend and you're starting out. So, how perfect is that? Maybe you'll learn something. So we went over and we met him, and I just happened to see him walking across the track when I was doing my victory lap. And, I stopped over and I shook his hand and, I just told him if this is, going to be his last race, and, we all hope it won't be, but, thank you for everything you did for the sport. He raced for 60 years. So, you got to stop and take a minute and, appreciate what a remarkable career that really is. And, a life spent giving something to racing. So, myself as a fan even can, appreciate the sport just that much more because of people like him. So, if it was really his last day, just wanted to, make sure we acknowledge him properly.
And Andy Jankowiak, again, joining us on the PFC Performance Line, in addition to you running on the Race of Champions Modified Tour, which is a series you've raced at for many, many years. He also started racing at the Madhouse Bowman Gray Stadium some this year. And I think you would agree with me as well as Bob Dillner, where we are sick of rainouts, because that's got to be tough for you coming from the Empire State of New York to come down to the Tar Heel State of North Carolina and get rained out for almost the opening races of the season at the Madhouse Bowman Gray Stadium. And that, of course, changed your entire 2019 plans, didn't it, buddy?
Oh, that was awful, dude. I drove down there 3 times and raced once. I can't believe the bad luck we have with weather this year. We went down there for the 200, and I always plan on going to the 200, and the forecast never looks good, and I always chicken out. And this year, the forecast wasn't bad, but we said screw it, we're gonna go this year, and we made the trek down there, and we ended up getting rained out the first one, so we had to come back the second week, and we got the race in, and I was real happy with how we ran. I'm not a great time trialer, but, we out time trialed a lot of good cars. I was right behind Jason Myers in time trials. We beat both the Flemings, Savali, and ran a really good race. We were kind of being conservative and kind of buying our time a little bit, and we're kept taking the outside on the cone. I'm not very good at the cone, apparently. I kept counting wrong. I kept going to the outside, moving back a row, and just doing dumb stuff. So I got to learn how to do that cone thing, but we kept sticking around the outside, and the outside was good, and we were up to 5th or 6th and around lap 125, and we were kind of just getting ready to start picking it up, and ended up breaking out a piece in the rear suspension and falling out of the race. So that was kind of a bummer. We were creeping right up there. We were running with Bobo Brown, and by the time I got out of the car and went up to go watch, that Savali, I guess he went bowling or something on the leaders, and that Bobo Brown was leading by the time I got up there. So kind of felt like we missed an opportunity. So figured we had 2 weeks off. We'd leave the car down there and come back for at least one, and they both ended up getting rained out. So we basically just had to go back down and retrieve the car. So, took a little gamble there and didn't work out. But all in all, we had a blast down there. The racing's really great. It gets kind of a bad rap because they only want to show the highlights of the bad stuff. But if you run them guys with respect, they give you respect right back, and they're just racers, and they're the kindest people that you'll ever meet in racing. All the racers, they always come up and shake my hand and say thanks for coming. The Myers and Lee Jeffries and and the Browns, they're all really good to me when we go down there, and that's why we like going back. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't want to make anyone mad over there. I think if you cross them, then they'll let you know what you think. But as long as you run them with respect and race them hard but not stupid, they'll race you right back. So it's fun going down there. Where else can you race in front of 15,000 people these days?
Let's talk about your health for just a second. I hear there's a chance you're going to be running a marathon here soon, and I know you take a lot of effort on the TQ side of keeping weight where it's got to be and your health and all that routine. What's that like for Andy J on a daily basis?
Yeah, I've always wanted to do it, but the marathon thing, but I don't know, racing always just seems to get in the way. And this summer, I'm really, there's a lot of training that goes into it, and I always get going on it, and then, I get to racing 2-3 times a week, and you know, I always end up racing about 16 different cars every summer, and I'm pretty big. I like to be involved with the setup stuff. If I'm racing it, I want to go out there and make sure I'm performing well and give myself the best opportunity to win. So it all turns into a lot of time, and then with work trying to pay for what I'm doing and traveling, I always seem to get sidetracked. But this summer I'm doing pretty good so far of keeping a good balance, and I'm not training as much as I would like to. Actually, today's probably going to be my big training day. Usually Mondays have been it. But yeah, we're looking at running a marathon. I'm looking at probably the one in Erie in September. Kind of give me the summer to train, maybe try to catch one before then. We'll see how I'm doing. But I'm doing pretty good. I'm under 8-minute miles. I do it when I go training. I usually do about 8 miles. I can do it about an hour. So I got to knock a little bit of time off. The goal is 7-minute miles. I'm not really sure if I could do it, but that's what I would like to do if I was going to do it. I'd like to give myself a chance to qualify for Boston would be the goal. So I got the summer to figure it out. And like I say, as long as it's September 8th is the one I'm looking at. It's on a Sunday. I'm always a little weary that, something's going to get rained out around that year and pushed back. That's the only reason I caution to say, but we're going to try really hard to get it done this year. And like I say, it keeps me in good shape either way. I like being in good shape for the racing stuff. You can go out there and drive and not be in shape, and that's fine. But, to me, when it comes down to a long run and, if you're straining in the car to drive the car, then, it takes away from your ability to focus and on, what you're doing. And if you're focusing on now, your arm's getting tired or, you're breathing, then you're not focusing on the guy ahead of you as much. So I like to give myself every opportunity I can to win. And, especially with, racing the midgets, those cars are only 850 pounds. So, the lighter you can be, the driver is a larger percentage of the overall midget weight. So, you lose 1 pound in a midget, that's like the equivalent of losing 5 pounds in a big car. So, I try to stay light for everything, but it's definitely a big difference in the midgets. So, just staying in shape, and I like being healthy, and I want to keep doing this for a long time. I look at guys like Teddy Christopher they always took really good care of themselves, and when he passed, he was still at the top of his game at 60 years old, and that's where I want to be. I like racing. I have a lot of interest in life, but racing's obviously been the predominant one. So I want to keep doing that for as long as I can, and if I'm doing it, I want to be doing it well. I want to be out there as a threat to win races and giving my fans something to enjoy.
Well, speaking of fans, we have some chiming in on social media. Chrissy Lynn is saying congrats again to Andy J and the whole team. Very proud of him and his team. And then Martha Pixley says, my daughter loves seeing Andy J win that race at Chemung. So the fans chiming in here on social media. And how important is that when you go to the track and even off the track to know that, this may be short track racing and that, and some people would call it the minor leagues, but you do have fans that are watching you, and they're watching how you race and how you conduct yourself.
It's humbling, I grew up a fan, so, I've been on both sides of it, and I know how much racing meant to me, and for me to be able to give that back, or for me to be able to, give someone those same emotions that I remember as a kid, that just means the world, and it's so important to the sport that, to me, that, the drivers have a job to be you know, be that to the fans and to try to, you know, I don't know how exactly to put it, but you know, that's an important, as important as the racing is, you know, being important, you know, a role model for the fans and being there for the fans and trying to give back everything that we can to the sport that gives us so much. So, to me, you know, that's the most important thing I could do. You know, we can't go racing without, you know, people supporting us like that and, you know, going in there and buying tickets and supporting the promoters and just making this whole deal work. And I think that's kind of the beauty of, like, you know, the short track thing is, you know, there's a lot of intimacy to, you know, getting to know the drivers, and you can always go in the pits and get an autograph, and you know, it's just easier to, you know, approach a driver in the short track scene and get to know them, and you know, and build a like a fan driver relationship like that. And you know, to me that just means the world. And I'm always grateful when anyone picks me, if ever, you know, if ever a parent's coming through for like an autograph or something, says is their kid's first race, you know, I always try to tell them, you know, bring the kid down for a picture if I win the race, you know, because you know that might be the experience that, you know, they remember for a lifetime. And you know, I could be their favorite driver for the next 10 years. So you know, that's big. And you know, to me that's all of our jobs to try to give back in that way.
Andy, we've got a shot of the car from yesterday at Chemung up on the screen, and some new colors for you. Little back in black with the black and orange. Your dad's colors, obviously. Is that just kind of where that come about? Is it a mix of last year's car and back to the old? Tell us about that.
You know, I always had black cars. You know, coming up, I always had black cars, mostly because Breck spray paint was like $1, and you know, it spread out pretty easy, so it wasn't too complicated. But
Now, Andy, the first time I met you, you had a car that looked like a rainbow. Okay, when I was butchering your name.
Which car was that?
Was that the 57J? It was purple and yellow and green and red. And
oh yeah. That was one of the prettier cars that we made.
You think that was pretty?
Well, by the time you saw it, it was a little different. You know, it's weird because like with that car, it was originally a '73, and we ordered pink vinyl for it, and they came back with like this fuchsia colored vinyl. It just looked so good; it was perfect. And unfortunately, a mentor of mine passed away late in that year, and he was number 57. He was one of my car owners, so we peeled the numbers off and we ordered new numbers, and we ordered a 57 as tribute to him. But this time we went pink, and it sort of ruined the whole scheme. And I think by the time you saw it, it was the pink 57. And when it was the fuchsia colored car, it was
a rainbow car. Daryl, it was a
But-
rainbow car. That's what it was. It was rainbow colored.
Yeah, it was, yeah, I know which car you're talking about. Like I say, I agree with you. When it was 57, by the time you saw it, I mean, you know, it had quite a few races on it at that point. I'm the type that, you know, you build the car in April and you make it look nice and you take a picture, and after that, whatever happens, happens. So by the time you saw it, it was a little tired.
It
So,
had been through many demolition
you know,
derbies. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, you know, she was ready to go back for another paint job by the time you saw her. So, and she wasn't getting one until April. So that was how that was going to work. But,
we're on the
you know,
PFC.
I've never really had the same car twice. You know, I always said when I was little, and I've stuck to it now that I'm old, that, you know, you always saw race car drivers and you kind of knew them by their scheme, you know, and they would run the same color scheme every year. And I always said growing up, like, that'd never be me. Like, you know, when I'm 80 years old someday and I'm looking back on it, I want a different color. I want a different bunch of pictures on the wall. I don't want a picture of the same car, you know, from every single year. So, you know, I've always tried to think of something different. So I've had probably every color you could think of. And I never had a green card by that point. And we had our buddy Steve Mendoza was helping me that year, and he wanted to paint a car, and he kind of came up with a color scheme, and I thought that would look pretty cool. And we had a green car that year. So I've had green cars, I've had pink cars, I had a zebra car, I've had a white car. I've had anything you could think of. So, you know, I always try to switch it up, and we haven't had a black car in a couple years. And you know, surprisingly, actually, you know, Hospital was always kind of the black car in the ROC the last couple of years, and he kind of vacated it this year with the red car. He kind of, I don't know, he went with like a Matt Hirschman scheme this year for whatever reason, but you know, there wasn't really any black cars, so I was kind of looking around, and you know, we kind of felt like we missed an opportunity last year, so we wanted to come into this year with some attitude, and what better way to do that than paint it up black and do something different.
Well, Andy Jankowiak, thank you so much, buddy, for joining us on the Morning Bullring. Congratulations on your big Weights of Champions modified win at Chemung Speedrome. And, of course, going in as the points leader, continued success, continued friendship with you, buddy, and always love catching up to you whenever I can.
I appreciate you guys. I just want to thank my race team on the 12X, Tom McGrath, Aaron McGrath. They just, and Bud Dreyer, they just mean the world to me. They do so much for me, and I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without them. I'm in a really good situation over there. And, buddy, Wesley, I'll be looking for you at PRI. We'll go do some drinks.
Absolutely. For the 4th year in a row, I'm looking forward to it, definitely. And, of course, he's the only driver that I can know of that goes around all over PRI. Of course, yeah, we all dress up. Yeah, polos, maybe official shirts, whatever. He is the only race car driver I know, besides the ones that go to the banquets, are wearing, like, shirts and ties and jackets and, yeah.
You got to see his tuxedo driving suit.
I don't think I've seen that one. Andy Jankowiak, winner at the Race of Champions opener at the Chemung Speedrome. We're going to go now to race news. Tom Ryan, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, you took my line. That was my news. But anyway, all right. Then let's head out to the Midwest. CRA Junior Late Model Feature. First one ever at Birch Run. Luke Wilheim won the first ever race for that event. Real interesting to see where this goes. Fantastic idea by the CRA. I touched the mic. I shouldn't do that. It's a little low for me. I know. I'm doing the Bob Dylan stance anyway.
All right,
now.
guys.
But no, CRA, kudos to you guys for getting this started. We should see some great future champions, not to mention some future, who knows, maybe world champions, IndyCar champs, NASCAR champs coming out of this series. Also, Bubba Pollard in the Cars Tour, Super Late Model Division. He won. Yeah, only his 3rd race this year in the Cars Tour. 3rd win. First time at Motor Mile. Spanked him.
You know, Tom, me and Zach were talking about this at the hotel after the rain out at Volunteer Saturday night. With the exception of the Rattler, Bubba Pollard has won every super late model race he's gotten the wheel and raced in this year. Pretty much. With the exception of the Rattler with Giovanni Bermani, he's won in every super late model race he has raced from up in Michigan down. Yes. And Speedfest. Because Connor O'Kresick won Speedfest. You're right. Yes.
He's about plus 80%, somewhere around there. Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. Also, late model stock cars, the winner for that division this weekend was Bobby McCarty, the 2018 champion, back in victory lane. Good to see him there. I almost hit a deer coming home from Lakeview driving. And also, David Prunty did not race this weekend. Grand State Pro Stock Series had a big field of cars at Lee Speedway. Brandon Barker won the 150 lap May Madness feature. Anthony Nocella and Jeff Gallup won the 2 doubleheader features for the VMRS series at Lee also. All that was live with Connor Sullivan at the helm on the Speed 51 network for all subscribers. Or was it? Yeah, that was for network people, right? The Lee? Yes. All right. Well, Mark was going to talk about all the live races we have coming up. Obviously not right now because we are getting our next guest on the line, so we're going to be cutting this news a little shorter than normal, which is fine. But Carolina Clash once again in Gastonia. Trent Ivy, big win for him in Super Late Models, his first one ever. And then on Saturday, the Ultimate Late Models battled at Modoc, and it was Fergie time. Looks like we are ready for the next event here on the Morning Bullring.
And, of course, Tom Ryan with the Motorsports News. Mark, you're just a multitasker, man. So many things that you're doing back there.
I try to be. But that's the wrong button. I wanted to do this one for a first-time caller.
Let's go to the PFC Performance Line, and joining us on the program is one of the best drivers of the Super Dirt Car Series, Big Block Modifieds, and anything he gets in the wheel of. 10 straight wins so far in 2019, and even after last year in 2018. Joining us is the number 9 Super Matt Shepard. Good morning. Welcome to the Bullring, my friend.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well.
So speaking of winning percentages, this guy has got to have the greatest winning percentage over the last 5 years.
Besides Bubba Pollard?
Of any,
Yeah.
I'm thinking we were going to have to count here.
I owe
because
Bob a steak dinner because of it.
There you go.
Matt, a great start to the 2019 season for you. Tell us what you got going on and where all the momentum's coming from.
I'm not really sure. I got a bunch of fast race cars. The racing gods have certainly been on our side to start the season out. We're just rolling along right now. We've been all over the Northeast, different sanctioning bodies, different tire rules, different icing rules, and so far it hasn't really seemed to matter. We've been picking them off one after another, and it seemed like the second half of last year we couldn't do anything right. I mean, I couldn't even run 5 races in a row without getting like a flat tire or something like that. Just string off 10 in a row. I mean, you got to have some really fast race cars, but you got to have some good luck and some stuff go your way as well.
Yeah, and it's not like every one of these races has been a time trial. Summertime, summer draw. There's different scenarios in all these races that you've won. You've picked up wins at Land of Legends Speedway, at Outlaw Speedway, as your weekly tracks, and then also on the Short Track Super Series Tour and the Super Dirt Car Tour. So it's not like there's a lack of competition here. You've taken down all the beasts at every level so far this year.
Yeah, I mean it's been really crazy, kind of surreal. I think our first 8 or 9 wins this year were at 8 or 9 different tracks all over the Northeast. So, I mean, that's just, I don't know, it's just kind of some crazy stuff. Like I said, we got some really good cars, fast cars. Everything's clicking right now. The cars have been hooked up. The motors have been running good. It's just kind of been the perfect storm. We did our homework at the end of last year and over the winter, and we've kind of clicked on something that's really been feeling good for me in the race cars. And you get rolling like this, and it's just an unbelievable amount of fun.
Well, Matt, you make it look too easy sometimes when you're out there. So for the fans that maybe don't know, how much of your success right now is just a matter of preparation?
Probably the vast majority of it. Knowing you got a solid piece that's 100% ready to go underneath you every time you get to the track, it just does wonders for your confidence. You know how confident it is. The more confident you are, the better you're going to run night in and night out. It just seems to be kind of snowballing from one race to another. And right now, I mean, we're sitting here saying, man, this streak can't go on much longer. It can't go on much longer. And we keep rolling along. So, I don't know. We're just going to enjoy it while it lasts. And when we do lose, it's not going to be the end of the world because we got a lot of racing left to do this summer. And as fast as our race cars are right now, hopefully it's a long, fun, enjoyable summer for us.
Well, Matt, the last time that I ran into you, buddy, was during February at the Dirt Car Nationals during your portion at Volusia. And you pretty much go for about almost a 2.5-month stretch of not racing at all. What does the team, the driver like yourself, do during those 2.5 months to prep and prepare to get ready for that niche to go for racing up in the Northeast?
Well, that 2.5 months, we had to finish getting the program ready to go. I mean, I didn't even pick up my new car for this season until after Volusia and started putting that together. We got that going. I built cars for other people as well, do a lot of sheet metal and body work for other teams. So it's been busy right up till the start of race season, and we haven't even gotten into the thick of the season yet. And there's been no breaks. It's been flat out, over in the shop, getting the cars ready, keeping everything rolling, keeping some of our fellow competitors rolling, and getting care of the stuff they need. There's no real off season anymore. It seems like the season gets longer and longer and longer, and off season gets shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yeah, it does. What are your plans for 2019 as far as racing? Obviously, you started out the season at Outlaw Speedway and Land of Legends for weekly racing and some touring series. What all's on tap?
Yeah, for the most part, you're going to see us at Outlaw and Land of Legends on the weekends. Follow the whole Super Dirt Series tour and shoot for that 8th championship this year. We're going to follow the North and South Short Track Super Series shows, as well as, any of the big specials around. This is probably the most prepared we've been, car, engine package-wise, even the different tire compounds, body rolls, and so on and so forth, to flip back and forth between all the different series and races going on in the Northeast. It's kind of an exciting year for dirt modified racing. There's a whole bunch of really, really big paying races throughout the course of the summer. And I don't know about you, but I can't think of a better time to get on a hot streak and really get these cars rolling good with all the exciting stuff that's going on up here this summer.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about racing with those different configurations. Some races you have sail panels, some you do not. Some you're on Hoosier tires, some you're on American Racers. Elaborate on that a little bit for us.
Yeah, Saturday night at Canandaigua, as well as all the Super Dirt Series and Dirt Sanctioned races. We're on Hoosier tires with big block engines, 2,500 pounds. Pretty much, that's the rules of that package. The other stuff, the Deo stuff and Outlaw Speedway and some of the North and South Series, we got some different rules packages. We're allowed to run big cubic inch small blocks, 360 small blocks, all open competition stuff. American Racer tires. Some of the shows are on sail panels. Some are on normal windows, different weight configurations. So it's sometimes it's a chore just to kind of keeping up with the different rules packages, depending on where we're going night to night. Make sure we don't mess up and show up to a race with sail panels that we're supposed to have windows, or 2,400 pounds when we're supposed to be 2,500 pounds. It's a lot to keep track of.
Again, joining us on the PFC Performance Line is Super Matt Shepard, driver the number 9, 7-time champion of the Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modified program. Matt, I ask you this question, buddy, for probably a lot of people in the South that are probably want to ask this to big block modified racers. And my question for you is this. Prominently, the big block modifieds are big up in the Northeast. Why do you think it doesn't get the growth in the South? And if the opportunity was to come to bring big block modified events to the Southeast, do you think you drivers up north would take advantage and come down, besides Volusia?
Man, that's a tough question. I think probably the biggest reason is probably the super late models. The super late models are big in the South, big across the country, but there's not one super late model track in New York that I know of. They're just not up there for whatever reason. When Glenn Conley got the big block modified, kind of really got that deal rolling. It became a big Northeast deal, and it kind of overshadowed the super late models. And it's the one part of the country where it's modified country. It's not late model country. And, it's probably really the only exception. I don't know if it would ever catch on in the South. I know that when we go down south and race, whether it be Charlotte or Volusia, it's so cool to get so many fans that come over and, say, hey, we don't get to watch you guys race, but you guys put on a heck of a show. We love watching you guys every time you come down here. That means a lot to me as a driver and kind of as a modified mainstay guy. And, I really love our big block modified, so we got a lot of passionate fans. It's nice to see other fans all over the country that are really liking them, and as the technology moves on and more races are televised around the country, whether it be on the internet or whatever it is, I feel like our fan base is growing still.
Would you or have you ever considered doing super late model racing than running big block modifieds, Matt?
I ran a super late model at Brewerton Speedway for a World of Outlaw show. God, it had to be 2009, 2010. I had it for a short stint. We qualified for the show, through the heat, ran mid-pack somewhere. We brought the car to Taterstown, Maryland for Oktoberfest. The engine broke. Somebody wanted to buy the car, and that was the end of my late model career. It was short but sweet, I guess. At this point in my career, I'm getting older. I enjoy sleeping in my own bed most nights. The Super Dirt Series allows me to do that. And I'm pretty content where I'm at.
Yeah, it would be cool to see you hop in a super late model again, maybe up here in the Northeast or around with the World of Outlaws. But certainly, like you said, the Super Dirt Car Series, the Short Track Super Series, and racing locally, you don't have quite so much travel. So that with all the racing that you guys do, how many races do you have planned on your schedule for 2019?
I guess I didn't count them out, but I would have estimated in the 80, 90, 100 race range.
Yeah, I mean, for the fans out there, think about that: 80 to 100 races, over the entire length of a year. That's one every 3 to 4 days, and we're talking in Northeast where really race season's April to October.
You got to go. You got 5 months stretch to get as many races as you can until they come down to Charlotte for the World Finals. Matt, I got one more question before we get off here with you, buddy. Super Matt, where did that nickname come from? Can you tell us in about 15 seconds?
I believe it was one of them announcers up here in the Northeast many, many years ago. And it does it. Called me Super Matt. Of Superman, and it stuck. It's been around for almost 20 years now.
There you go. So, again, Super Matt Shepard joining us here on the program. Thanks for being on the Bullring, buddy. We appreciate it. Continued success, and I look forward to seeing you. I guess we'll be next. We'll either be Super Dirt Week at Oswego, or if I decide to go up there, if not, it'll be at the World Finals at Charlotte.
All right, thank you. Thanks for having me.
There you go in the PFC Performance line. That is, of course, Super Matt Shepard. 10 straight wins for that driver in the number 9.
Yeah, winning.
You know him very well, don't you? Because you're a Northern guy.
Winning is a habit for that team. They work very hard at it. They're great at every track they go to. There's really no. Not very often you're going to go to a racetrack and not see the 9S up front.
And of course, and one of the cool things that I like. And we didn't really talk about it because it's a reality, though. You go to Charlotte. You go to the World Finals. You see the fans that come from all over across the country, U.S., the country for that matter. You have got sprint car fans. You have got big block modified fans. You have got late model fans. And one of the things that I find, because I've worked the World Finals for so many years, is you see your sprint car fans, they finish racing, they leave the grandstands, they go to the pits. When it's the modifieds on the track, they'll come and watch the big block modifieds. When they finish up, you'll leave there and you'll go to the pits, and the same with the late models. And I love the fact that that is just a genre that we see, not even just across the hill over here from our studios is Charlotte Motor Speedway with all the booming things they've got going on. Mark Keeler, you want to add in on to this?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I'm good.
What do you want to talk about?
You pretty much said it.
You got index cards. I was like, what is he
No,
going to do?
I just that was actually really funny.
I got you.
No, I just want to talk briefly before we go on to our final guest of the show. I want to talk about some of the stuff that we have upcoming this week as far as live broadcasts go on Speed 51. Of course, Tuesday and Wednesday, it's pay-per-view. It's the Speed 51 Open from Millbrook Speedway, the Outlaw Carts, the QRC Speed 51 Open. The only way to see both days of action is to buy the 2-day. That's $24.99. But if you're a network member, that's $7.99 a month and all that good stuff. you can't beat it. I think you said it all show long, Wesley, but the amount of races we got coming up just this weekend alone, tentatively right now, we're going to be with Fast Track at Friendship on Friday night. Saturday, we have 3 races scheduled, the Wheelman Series, the Sportsman Series. If you have not seen them from Florida, you got to check it out. 20-plus sportsman cars every single race. And these guys, they don't care how pretty their car looks at the end of the race. They are beating and banging. It's awesome racing. So Wheelman Series, Citrus County in Florida, the ARCA Midwest Tour from Jefferson, Wisconsin, and the Fast Track Series will be in Beckley, West Virginia on Saturday. It's the Triple Crown. We'll be there on Sunday, also at Friendship. Monday, ARCA Midwest Tour at Wisconsin International. And then, of course, next weekend is the big weekend, the Short Track U.S. Nationals at Bristol. That will be a pay-per-view race as well. So we got 2 pay-per-views in the next 2 weeks, and what's that, a half dozen at least on the network, and we do that each and every week. And speaking of the Fast Track and the Ultimate Series, as we have before, we do have a caller on the line, Wesley, so I'm going to kind of throw you for a little bit of a loop. But joining us, DJ Irvine.
Irvin.
Irvine or Irvin?
Irvin.
Well,
I had to find that out myself.
It's spelled Irvine.
I know.
Okay, sorry, DJ.
Hey, it happens.
You know what? For the longest time, I called him DJ Irvine. I called him DJ Irvine. And he just looked at me one day and he said, "It's Irvin." I said, "Is your name Irvin?" Like Ernie Irvin? He said, "Yeah, I don't know why the E's there, but it's Irvin." DJ Irvin, general manager and the man that runs Fast Track Companies International, is on the PFC Performance line. Good morning to you, boss man.
Good morning, Wesley. How are you this morning?
I'm sick of rain. That's how I feel.
It raining here at the office. I just told Mark that that's completely fitting.
Wow. Talk about your thoughts of Volunteer. We had, what's that song by Frank Sinatra? High Hopes. We had high hopes after 42 days of not racing.
Please don't sing, Wesley.
I'm not going to sing.
Yeah, please don't sing.
We had 42 days of not racing.
People to listen,
and then we had high hopes of getting it in. And then all of a sudden, bam, out of nowhere.
Yeah, we did. We had 22 Fast Track Pro Late models checked in there at Bulls Gap. 3 of the Fast Track Future Stars. Had a great practice on Friday night. The kids were really impressive with the Fast Track Future Stars. And, you know, we haven't raced with the Fast Track Racing Series powered by Chevrolet Performance since April 6th at Toccoa. Had a great race down there. And we still haven't gotten that second race in. Looking forward to the Triple Crown this weekend. 3 races, 3 days, 2 great facilities that we're going to. Really looking forward to the weekend. But there at Bulls Gap, you know, we got the drivers meeting going. A strike of lightning happens over across the interstate. I tried to continue on with the drivers meeting. Then a lightning strike got a little bit closer. We all retreated to our trailers, and then Mother Nature took the W. And, I mean, she came out in full force up there at Volunteer Speedway. I think it rained probably an inch at least in about 30 minutes. Started getting a little hail. 60-mile-an-hour winds, and finally we just told everybody, you know, I guess time to go back to the house. So at least we all got to get together and watch it rain for a change instead of calling it off ahead of time. But it was a 15% chance rolling into the weekend. Felt really good about it, and we got all 15% of that rain.
It was tornado-like conditions out there at Bulls Gap, Tennessee, out of nowhere. And here's the bad thing, Daryl. And I will bring Zach in here in a minute as well. We were doing our Speed 51 Facebook media pit walk. Me and the official Bobby were going around and we're doing interviews, and the sun is out. It's beautiful, not a cloud in the sky. Then all of a sudden, like 30 minutes later, it literally went from magnificent to, oh darn, we're in trouble. And I'm talking about the winds blowing, hail coming down the size of penny-sized, golf ball-sized hail, winds, trash cans flying through the air. Poor Zach Evans' equipment. I saw him dart out the door and take off running.
No cows?
No.
Like Twister? We got cows? That's when you're really in trouble.
But it's not funny here. It's funny, but it's not. We had a tornado where I lived last Monday. On this day, last Monday, last week, I literally took a picture outside my back of the house and took a shot of it. It was hovering over the interstate bypass, but it felt like, oh my goodness, here we go, Monday. Now we have another one on Saturday. Zach Evans, what did you think of the crazy weather that happened at Volunteer Speedway?
Well, I told you at Volunteer Speedway that it's your fault.
Why?
Because you went up to Tyler County with Mark and had the issues there, and then we had the rain out at Volunteer, and even back home well, I say back home because it's where I used to live, but it's where you still live. They had bad weather during the week. Some really bad, severe weather. So I think this black cloud, figuratively or literally, is chasing you around, Wesley.
Well, live on a national form, I will say to the weather gods up above, if I have done something wrong in my life that is making us go with rainouts all over the country, wherever I go, I am apologizing. I'm sorry.
Well, Wesley, that's funny. I wanted to take this opportunity to publicly apologize to everyone I have ever made mad. Hoping that it would change our luck a little bit. You know, I think all of us in motorsports in general just need to start apologizing to everybody we can.
It is. Daryl, what's it like in the Northeast, being somebody from New York? Is it storming up there? I saw something last night before I fell asleep that said that there was severe weather up there today.
Yeah, we had guys out at Weed Sport Speedway to cover Super Dirt Car Series. They got to the track. It was nice. Next thing you know, boom, it's raining. It canceled. It's just cancellations all over the place. The weather has just been crazy.
And I sent, if my guru friend Tom Ryan can check his Facebook, I wanted to show him the video because I uploaded some and sent it to him. Maybe he can be able to show what we dealt with at Volunteer. But we're going to put that in the rearview mirror. The Fast Track Triple Crown DJ Irvin this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. Let's talk about that. The 14th annual edition. It is our prestigious event every year on Memorial Day weekend, just like the Grand Prix of Monaco, just like the Indianapolis 500, just like the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte. It's our prestigious event that we do every year for the Fast Track Racing Series. 3 grueling days of racing, and this year, 3, and 5,000 to win races, the biggest purse-paying races, and even trying to work on some more breaking news and big news for this weekend as well.
We are. It's going to be a very busy day here at Fast Track Companies International. I've got a lot to work on. We are looking at some different things, seeing if we can't get some more points races in and see if we can't get ahead of Mother Nature right here. The forecast right now looks great all weekend long. So I'm going to accept that as the forecast. I'm not going to look at it again, and we're going to rock and roll this weekend. But like you said, biggest event, one of the biggest events that we have all year, and one of the most prestigious. I think, people really want to be able to say that they were the Fast Track Triple Crown champion last year. Matthew Nance won the Triple Crown year before, Tyler Bear. Those are the 2 years that I've been involved here with Fast Track, and it's always a great event. We always end up having a little trouble with Mother Nature. I think me and you were talking last night, Wesley, that ever since 2014 or something, Mother Nature's kind of threw a curveball
Yes,
at
sir.
this Triple Crown. So I feel like with the luck we've had outside of the Triple Crown this year, that we stand a chance to get them all in, just as scheduled, rock and roll. And it's going to be great. I mean, you've got drivers like Carson Ferguson. I know Matthew Nance is planning on coming. You've got Dylan Brown going to come, Michael Bland, Corey Allman. I mean, these are the best pro late model drivers in the country that follow the Fast Track Racing Series. So everywhere we go, it's a shootout every single night. Honestly, we had 22 cars checked in at Volunteer Speedway, and I feel like we had 22 cars that could have won that race on Saturday night. So with that being said, looking forward to the weekend, and, everybody out there, you can catch the live action on speed51.com. And if you're in the area, make it out to Friendship on Friday and Sunday, up to Beckley Motorsports Park on Saturday. It's going to be a tremendous event, and I cannot wait to get it underway.
Again, for the first time ever in the Triple Crown existence, we are going to race at 2 facilities, Darrell Canfield, on the same weekend. We're going to be a part of the Bill Hicks Memorial on Friday night. That's going to be the events for not only the Fast Track Racing Series powered by Chevrolet Performance. You've got the Blue Ridge Outlaw Late Model Series. You've got the Mid-East South Modified Tour 602 mods. All together with Tony Hicks and Fast Track Companies International at Friendship. Then we go up to Beckley Motorsports Park in Prosperity, West Virginia, where they had a great race this past weekend. Of course, they also fought the weather last year and rainouts this year as well. We'll be there for their big event for 3,000 to win on Saturday, May the 25th, and then Sunday back to Friendship for a $5,000 to win race. But again, there possibly could be some big news in regards to the Triple Crown, and I think it's going to be really, really cool to see DJ Irvine of Irvin. See, Mark, It's Mark's fault.
Dang
DJ
it.
Irvin. It's no DJ Irvin joining us on the PFC Performance Line, our final guest of the show for the morning Bullring. DJ, just talk about real quickly the relationship that has came with hooking up with the Speed 51 network as being the official media for Fast Track Companies International for all of our sanctioning bodies across the board.
Well, it's been a great relationship for us, seeing all the coverage that we're being able to get our drivers for the series itself. Then, of course, coming together all to get the $50,000 to win Fast Track World Championship broadcasted on MAV TV that's going to air on October 30th. That's just a huge exposure for Fast Track Companies International. Of course, you got the Ultimate Super Late Model Series, and congratulations to Chris Ferguson on his win in the Jack Starrett Memorial. I believe he's a 3-time winner of that. He's the all-time leading winner of the Jack Starrett Memorial there at Modoc Raceway. But as far as Speed 51, everything they've done for us, we're easily the most publicized pro late model series out there, and probably the most publicized regional super late model series in the country. And being able to do that for our drivers, it just really helps everybody. It puts all the eyes on our drivers, on our series, on our partners, and everybody. And it's really great to see that, we're embracing the new streaming technology and everything, and getting races in the palms of people's hands. You walk around, you see everybody's buried in their phones. Well, if they're going to be buried in their phones, let's have them watching racing in the palm of their hands. And that's really what we're doing with Speed 51. And it's been a just phenomenal partnership so far with Fast Track Companies International and Speed51.com.
Daryl Canfield, of course, for the longest time, we had the Fast Track Racing Series up in the Northeast. What is your thoughts of pro late model racing up there, and do you think it's time to bring Fast Track back up in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, it would certainly be exciting to see some of those races back up there. There's a lot of great dirt tracks around New York, PA, and up in the Northeast. I'd certainly be there.
I loved it. There was a lot of traveling involved for sure. Many, many nights on the road. I remember one time I was at Cleveland County Speedway just down the road in Dallas or Lawndale. I was told, hey, pack up your bag, no luggage, no clothes, no nothing. You're going to go all the way up to New York. Just outside of where Watkins Glen was. There's a dirt track there, Black Rock Speedway. Went there. And DJ, we can talk about this slowly but surely. We are bringing the Fast Track back into the Northeast in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and beyond.
We are. Latrobe Speedway, Latrobe, Pennsylvania, just had their first weekly race this Saturday, had 12 pro late models up there for Fast Track. So we're getting back in the area, and as we're continuing to expand, we're taking the tour into Kentucky this year. Later this year, we'll have an exciting announcement there about the state of Kentucky. And we're taking the tour to some new places. We're working on some stuff for like a Winter Nationals this year, and just overall growing. And continue to grow. Last year, Fast Track Companies International, you include, our weekly program with the Fast Track Racing Series, the Fast Track Racing Series powered by Chevrolet Performance, the Tour, and all the regions of Ultimate Super Late Model Series. We had 768 different teams compete with Fast Track Companies International last year. I really want to see that number get to 1,000. I think we're going to get close to it this year. But as we continue to grow, just more and more teams are competing under the umbrella of Fast Track Companies International. It's a really exciting time, with the biggest pro late model race that's ever happened this year, September 13th and 14th at Virginia Motor Speedway. $50,000 to win, $2,050 to start. That's over $162,000 purse just for that Saturday night alone. We haven't even announced the non-qualifiers purses, so that number is just going to continue to grow as we approach that historic Fast Track World Championship coming up in September. But just really an exciting time. And of course, we just announced the Butterball this year at Richmond Raceway in Kentucky, the biggest purse that the Ultimate Super Late Model Series has ever paid, $2,059 to win, August 18th. Up there at Richmond Raceway. Bill Lapino's really got a great relationship going with them, doing a lot of cool things up there. And of course, taking the Fast Track Racing Series up there in September, and just continuing to grow this company and as a sanctioning body, looking at new things. The Fast Track Future Stars Tour, getting the younger kids involved, and that's something I think is really important in this sports, to get the younger generation involved in this sport, because our fan base and our drivers and everybody, none of us are getting any younger. So to continue the health of this sport on and into the future, we've got to get that younger generation involved. And seeing, Trey Kirk, Jamison McBride and Kyle Stollard out there this week was just awesome to see those young kids in full body 602 late models beginning their young careers and seeing how their career is going to progress on through fast track companies and international. And, hopefully one day we'll see one of those three young men in, NASCAR or Lucas or wherever they decide to go with their career. But to be able to be the stepping stone, that's something that we're very proud of. With fast track, as we say, Wesley, all the time, that we build champions.
DJ, a question for you, buddy. Now that the Future Stars Tour race got rained out at Volunteer on Saturday, where will the next makeup be? Will it be June 1st at Toccoa Raceway with the Fast Track Touring event there now? Back to Georgia again, it looks like, possibly.
Yep, we're going to give it another go-round at Toccoa Raceway. That was going to be the first race back in April. Then Mother Nature actually played a little havoc with the practice, and
That's
with
right.
these kids being under 16, we've got to do an insurance test, things like that, so kind of wash that out. But right now the plans go right back to Toccoa on June 1st and give it another try for these young men.
That's exactly right. Well, DJ Irvine, we are going to get off here, my friend. Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you this weekend. Our fingers are crossed, our legs are crossed, our heads are crossed, our eyes are crossed. What else can we cross, Daryl? Come on, help me out.
No comment.
Cross everything. We do not want any rain.
No rain. No rain. Thank you so much for joining us on the PFC Performance Line, buddy. I look forward to seeing you Friday.
Absolutely appreciate it.
And
everybody.
remember, the Fast Track Racing Series 14th Annual Triple Crown. Friendship and Beckley back to Friendship on Sunday. Big news possibly announcing at fasttrackracing.com will also be exclusively on the Speed 51 network. Well, our time's grown short, Daryl Canfield. It seems like as soon as you get on the air to do something, time flies. It's been a fun 2.5 hours.
It's amazing how fast 2.5 hours went. We had some great guests today. Pretty cool to be down here in the studio and get to do this for a day. Thanks to Bob and the entire team. So
a
cool.
Rebel and a Yankee work together. I love it. It was fun. Mark, what else do you want to add, buddy, before you get out of here?
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
No.
There you go. As always, follow Speed 51 for all of the coverage. Highlights from races will be coming up from this weekend as well. And, of course, we get ready for another action-packed weekend and week of Racing That Matter beginning Tuesday, tomorrow, and Wednesday with the Speed 51 Open. For everybody at Speed 51, for Daryl Canfield, Mark Keeler, Zach Evans, Tom Ryan, I'm Wesley Outland. Brandon Paul.
Bob
Dillner. All of the guests, Johnny Van Dorn, Carson Quapple, Woody Pitcat, Bob Dillner, Andy Jankowiak, Matt Shepard, and DJ Irvin. All of our guests, thank you. And thank you to all of our race fans. We do it for you. And as always, use the hashtag more short tracks because we need that in racing. Enjoy the rest of your week. God bless.